Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shed. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay.
Doing
Unfortunately,
fine.
it's getting hotter again.
Oh my God, it was like 90 something today, but here it's supposed to be 100 the next 2 days,
Yeah.
and then 95. And then I think it's cooled down next week only in the 80s. But look, I'll take this over last year where it's the entire month of July, it was 100 degrees every day for like 30 days. I was like going
Yeah.
insane by the end of it. I was like over it.
I'm gonna put it this way. I'm glad that my electric bill only went up by, well, I suppose it pretty well doubled, but it only went up by $100. So the fact that could have been so much worse. But we did
But
we did the good old down home mountain move about keeping the sunlight out. Put the tinfoil on the window so it reflects back out there and doesn't warm the house up.
see,
And
we have the air conditioning going here, and it's an ongoing saga where we have to like actually renovate this house again, which is a
Yeah.
long story. I've told you guys a little bit about it,
Yeah.
but it's that the floor is not properly insulated, which means like when it's in the winter time, it's a nightmare. It's like an ice chest
yeah,
where literally like I can go from upstairs to downstairs and the temperature will drop like visibly like 5-10 degrees. But the weird thing is like with the air conditioning running, and we don't even have it like it's not like it's 60 68 on the thermostat,
yeah,
but or even lower, but it stays cold in this house, like which sounds good on a 100-degree day, and it kind of is, but like I know that tomorrow would be 100 degrees outside. Like
yeah.
you can't be outside more than like a couple minutes without just the sweat just like forming. But I know when I'm inside here, I have like a hoodie I'm going to be wearing all day because I'm going to be cold.
Yeah.
And the temperature will be, the thermostat will be set at like 74. It's not even like it's going to be, you know, again at
I'm
Arctic temperatures.
Yeah.
I'm just cold all the time because I'm down 50 pounds, so I just
Our house does similar stuff. Matt, there's some days like it wasn't last week. I think it was the week before. Come home and it's like 95 out and it's like 80% humidity. So you're just like, oh. And then I come in the house and it's like, okay, I'm going to get out of my work clothes and I'm going to put on some sweatpants because God almighty, it's cold in here.
Yeah.
I am the first time I lost weight and I got down to 185, I would just shiver a lot.
Yeah.
First off,
Yeah,
congrats on the weight
sounds right.
loss.
Yeah.
But also, isn't it weird that it's like you lose weight and you just wind up freezing all the
I
time?
know. That's what I told someone
There,
once. I was like, I wish when I started that journey, someone would have said, "Hey, good for you, but just know you're for the first 6 months, you're just gonna shiver all the time because you're gonna be cold."
it,
Yeah.
there literally is some sort of like, I don't know what you consider like thermodynamics. It's really probably like a biological thing, but that is actually true. Like the larger like a physical like entity, like you are cold less because there's something about how like a body, a larger the body size, you
Yeah.
conserve heat differently.
Yeah.
You got more
Uh,
insulation.
Yeah.
kind of, but also I think it's a little. It is an insulation thing, but I think it's a little more than that. Like your body temperature like regulation is like different.
I
So
also had
that's
to.
partly why you see like animals like bears, whatever. Like the bigger they are, like they actually
Yeah.
don't. I mean, they have that's a bad example because they have a lot of fur. But anyway,
Well,
And a
they
lot of
get
fat.
big. They get
yeah,
big so they can when they hibernate, they have enough
yeah.
calories to burn. But the other thing I had to do, which I didn't expect, is um I would get really annoyed because my office chair, I could feel touching my spine because I'd lost all that
Mm.
fat in my back. So I had to go to the gym and like do back exercises to build a layer of muscle to get that sensation to go away because I hated it.
Not just put a blanket down in your chair.
No, because like I could feel it like touch like my back. Like I could feel it touching like the bones of my back. It was terrible. I don't know if I'm
In
gonna
any
get
event,
that small again, but if I did, I'm about halfway there from what I started at.
I'm working on it, man, but God. I get to one point and then I stall out. Just and it's been like a month of me stalling out, and that's with that's with the weight loss equivalent of PEDs on my side. I can't.
It's a bad time of year for it, honestly, because like winter's easy because you don't go anywhere, but now you're going to like cookouts and people are cooking like sausages and stuff, and it's like, oh, yep, I'm not gonna get on the scale for like 2 days because that's just gonna be like water retention out the ass.
Mm.
I learned a lot this time that you get very conscious of how your body reacts to certain foods when you're weighing yourself a lot,
Yeah, it's true.
and what you're like. I have like my week is very consistent. Like Thursday is my lightest day if I'm weighing myself. So what we're talking about today is so we have a we have a match with Sgt Slaughter and Stan Hansen from the AWA from I think it's I think it was 112.86. So I think
Yeah.
we're gonna do that first, and then we're gonna talk about kind of in the sense of this is a side conversation we had about WWE and going cold. And we were kind of talking about how people are very stuck on the business metrics, but I think there is a deeper issue with going cold in that like you can't generate interest.
Mhm.
The business metrics thing absolutely kills me because it's what other thing in the world do we have is like, oh man, the Yankees are having a bad season. Oh yeah, well their merch sales. Have you seen that? Have you seen what their merch
Ah,
sales are doing? It's like what the
actually they're hotter than ever because they sold a lot of merch. It's like,
That's actually
okay.
that's a big box office cope now when all these like corporate Disney movies fail and like their
Mm,
shills are out, they always like defend like the merch is great. It's like you mean those Star Wars toys no one buys because no one likes the new movies, or like people are really gonna make up for that $1 billion loss from Little Mermaid because they're gonna buy like a shitload of merch that from a movie that no one liked. Like that doesn't even make sense.
hang on, let me see if I can do this right. You don't understand. They're gonna buy the toys that have to do with the story. Beginning, middle, and toys.
Well, the other big cope that they do, and I see it all the time, it drives me nuts because everyone knows it's not true, but it made its production budget back is the other big cope you see all the time. And
Yeah.
it's like you
because
need
that's
2.5
So
times.
yeah, you do like you need at least double, but probably a little more because you don't they don't actually share. It's if a movie makes like $100 million, like the studio doesn't get every bit of that hundred
No.
dollars. Like they have to share it. They have to share it with the movie theaters and all, and there's a lot of fingers in the pie. So it's not like
And domestic
they
and international you make less than domestic.
yeah.
so this hits on something that's been a little bit of a a recent thing for me is I have been playing a game on Steam called Hollywood Animal, where you're running a movie studio in the golden age of Hollywood, right whenever them talkie pictures start up. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll do this and we'll do this and it'll be great. And then you're like, I spent way too much on advertising, or I really didn't need to hire someone who was that highly rated as an actor because this movie's just not going to get that much better no matter who I put in it.
That you kind of get that with like there's a game dev tycoon or like game dev story if you ever played those where it's like, oh, I put
Yeah.
this all this money and no one wanted to buy my Ninja Cat. RPG. Like maybe I should have scaled that back.
Yeah. Well, one of the things in the game that'll mess with you until you figure it out is you release a movie and it'll have um, commercial appeal and artistic appeal. But as it turns out, the critics don't like anything that's below an A or A plus, which means that you have to have like a 9 or a 10 rated movie, and you start out with a 5 rated movie being a really good accomplishment for your studio. So it's it's an interesting bit of perspective that goes into it. It's not like I'm going to give Hollywood much in the way of credit, because you do not, in fact, have to hand it to ISIS, but um, it's a different perspective that I had never had cause to really think about.
And the dirty little secret that we know to be true from tax filings in like the UK when they go for their tax breaks, which I don't know why people still insist to pretend like this isn't true, but they all lie about their budget because they never tell you how expensive it actually was. Like people try and
No.
say they lie and overrate the budget. It's like no, we know from multiple instances they always lie in the other direction. Like we found out years after the fact, like Rise of Skywalker, it lost
Hmm.
money because they spent so much money on it. It made $1 billion and lost money
Yeah.
It's inconceivable. How did you do that?
because it
Like,
was a mess. They reshot stuff. Like the other thing is like Avengers Doomsday, it's gonna lose money, and people are gonna probably have shit fits as that gets
but
closer.
the merchandise.
But the thing is, and then the thing is like, it's not a conversation if that movie's gonna be good, which it's not gonna be good based on what I've heard about the production so far, because like there are people. The guy played Nightcrawler. I can't think of his name.
Alan Cumming.
Yep.
Yeah.
He got they brought him in to do something. And he says he didn't even know what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the concept that it's like, well, we have the script, but we're being so tight with the script and the secretive that it's like, if you have a small part, because look, there's people who are going to be in it. And I'm sure, again, Alan Cumming is Nightcrawler. They're bringing that character back. But let's be realistic. Does anyone expect, even though I think they announced it's going to be like a 3-hour movie, does anyone expect that Nightcrawler is going to have like an hour worth of scenes, or is he going to be in the scene in the movie for probably like 5 minutes, and that's it? Unless you
Yeah.
occasionally see him in like another scene in the background, like. So I can understand if you're coming in for what's effectively a bit part, you're going to have like 5 minutes of screen time, so you have like a scene. That maybe in that case, like the guy here, it's like, here's your portion of the script, like what, like you're getting it now, and like, but it is concerning if after that it's like he's done the scene and afterwards he's like, yeah, I don't know what I did.
Well, no,
Which
I
to
think
me it's like, what does that mean? To me it almost means like you just stood in front of like this giant green screen and did a bunch of shit,
that
and they're just gonna.
well, and it's even worse than that because I'm pretty sure what also happened is they're like, we're gonna do this scene 10 different ways because we haven't finished the script yet, so we need you to shoot every possible outcome we might write.
Or
God.
maybe it's to cover up what's really in it because they don't want anything to
Yeah,
leak. And
but
it's like, who cares if people get excited for what's in an upcoming movie?
the
And no
thing,
one's seen a leak and been like, well, then
yeah,
I'm definitely not going to go
but
see
but
that.
the thing that's gonna get a lot of pushback is it's not going to make money. They've spent so much money on it that it's like mathematically impossible that this movie can make money.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
there's
why they
people
do
still
that.
trying to cope for Supergirl, and it was like that. We knew that was dead on arrival.
But
It,
yes, but they still spent like an ungodly amount of money on it,
Like
and
200,
it's like,
well,
why?
186, because they don't know
That's
how to
that's too
do.
much.
Well, the whole DCU thing is a problem because they need to fire James Gunn out of a catapult because his plan of like his slate of movies was stupid. Like
They
I don't
need.
know how anyone looked at his plan and was like, this makes sense and will
But
make
see that
money.
that starts getting to be like, what that's on the studios. It's like you need to rein them in. If you have no one there, like to be like, hey, because Superman came out, Superman wasn't even like this blockbuster. Like it
No, it
maybe
made
made some money, but modestly.
and it
But it's
missed
enough.
and it missed projections. It needs to be said.
Yeah, but it probably made modest amount, but it was well
It didn't
received.
lose
It's like,
money.
oh, we could,
That's
yeah,
what you
it's
can
like,
say
oh,
about.
we can build on this. We can
Yeah,
build on this. And it's like, yeah, you absolutely can. And then it's like you do Supergirl next. And it's like this, I thought about that. This is like having that Supergirl movie next. It's like, no, no, no. This is like the equivalent of you had like years of Marvel movies that were successful, including like 2 Avengers movies, at least
and then you
2.
get Ant-Man.
Or even after that, you get like now it's Captain Marvel.
You
Because
get
Captain Marvel,
WandaVision.
like, did okay. Like, it may have still made money, but it wasn't like, oh, there was a time like every movie that Marvel put out, like at least worldwide, $1 billion,
Yeah,
like $1 billion worldwide, every movie practically. So, but it didn't do that, and it's like, oh my god, it didn't. It's like, yeah, because that's a more obscure character. Like the script was like okay, like but it still probably did. It did pretty well overall. But it's like that's like Supergirl's a movie that you do like 8 years into
yeah.
this, not like their second movie.
Or or
And then it's
you
like, oh, we're gonna do a Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd TV show next. It's like, what? Why?
or if you
Like,
do
how about hey guys, Batman's coming out next year, and then
yeah.
Wonder Woman, and like you got to go the big three.
You could get away with it if like Superman made like $2 billion and was this like massive cultural touchstone. Like it might have rode off of that, but that's not like what happened. Like
You're
it
not
did
gonna have
it did
a
okay.
reboot, like a reboot straight out of the gate for something like that is not going to set the world on fire. Now, I saw Superman. I actually really liked it. I
Okay.
thought, hey, if you're going to be restarting DCU stuff, this is a pretty good way to kick it off. If for no other reason than in that movie, Superman behaved like Superman, great. But it's not like Supergirl was going to be the big follow up. It just wasn't.
And
If
it's not like
after
it
after
was
Superman, if you wanted to follow that up with something, make your Justice Gang movie. Go do that because people liked that, but Supergirl was not the move.
it wasn't even like Superman was Iron Man either.
No, well, it can't be because Iron Man rolled into the era before superhero movies had been done for 20 years.
Yeah, but I'm saying like it also it had like a cultural impact, I think more so than like Superman kind of came and went as a movie. I thought it was fine, but like I don't think it was something that gave you what I'm saying is like I think it did fine and it was fine as a movie, but it wasn't such a high impact that you could get away with stuff. Like you had to be like on point after that, which is you probably should have followed that up with Batman. And then if Batman does really well, then do Wonder Woman. And then if Wonder Woman does well, then maybe you can start getting into like Flash and Green Lantern or do another Aquaman movie. Like it doesn't mean,
Well,
hey, let's do Superman and then Supergirl, and then we're gonna do a team up movie with Deathstroke and
is
what
it
was it?
Bane?
Yeah, Bane. And then
No.
Who wants to
It,
watch a movie with two villains as the protagonists?
yeah,
well,
I don't know.
they're doing a Lanterns TV show, and
It looks like dog
it
shit.
looks it it looks first off it's like everything now in Hollywood that it's like just varying shades of gray and brown.
Yeah.
And I've heard it explained that part of the reason that everything is that way is because like they put so much CGI and everything like that that they have to darken it because then like when they do the
It's
CGI it pops more
well,
or
no,
it's better.
what it is it's covering up for bad CGI. So when they darken it, it's to cover up like the edges, so like that the pixelated edges and like the artifacts and stuff. That's why they darken it to
That's
cover
why
up that
That
every
CGI.
fight in
it's
Pacific Rim takes place in a rainstorm.
Yeah,
but it's terrible because it's like everything is dark now. Someone did a great
like the new Little
the
Mermaid.
la-
They're in like the
Oh,
fucking ocean and it's like gray the whole movie.
yeah. Someone did a tweet, like I think in last year, where it the joke it was a joke tweet where it's like a person does a film. It's like, like I've finished editing my film. It's like, oh, the studio executive goes, oh, great. Now we just have to run it by Pazuzu, the demon that eats colors. And it's like Pazuzu, like, yes, delicious reds and greens, a feast
Yeah.
for Pazuzu. And it's like,
How do
yeah,
you
because all the color gets drained out of the film.
how do you make a Green Lantern show, movie, whatever, and not have bright, vibrant green as
People
part
It
of it?
looks
people
they
get
showed like the suit, it looks fucking brown,
I
and
know and
people trying to defend the studio. It's like,
people
no,
get
it isn't.
real
Like, come on, guys.
people
It's like, it
get
looks brown.
people get real mad at you when you point out like this Green Lantern show has no green in it.
Okay, I will give one potential caveat is if the show starts this way and then whenever the ring slinging starts, the color palette shifts in a big way, I'll back
Yeah,
up.
but you can't.
But I haven't seen any evidence of that yet.
But the problem is like you need to. The problem is that needs to be in the marketing. You need to be hitting people with like you need to be wowing people, not being like, oh look, it looks like all the other shit you guys have done for the last 20 years, which is like no color.
Look, as much as sorry, excuse me. As much as the second movie wasn't great and as much as Zachary Levi can't keep his mouth shut, the Shazam movies were colorful and had heroes doing hero stuff even if they were kind of goofy. You know what? I'm taking that as my personal win.
Yeah, I don't. I know the first one like overperformed and was kind of a surprise hit. I feel like they kind of tempted fate by doing a sequel and kind of missed the point of the first movie with the sequel.
This sequel's okay. That's the thing that I can say is it's all right. But the problem is it's following something that's frankly so much better. And what happens is that like the original Marvel run, it was not superhero movies. It was like Captain America was a war movie that has superhero in it, and God, like um, Ant Man was a heist movie that had a superhero. Like
Yeah.
they were different genres that had a superhero in it. Well, the Shazam was a family movie that had a superhero in it, and
Thor
so it
Ragnarok's a
was
buddy cop movie essentially.
yeah. And so what you have is that's why it works is it's not really a movie about doing superheroics. It's a movie about Billy Batson finding what family
Yeah.
is.
Star Wars fans used to get real mad at you if you Wars is what made it so special is there was so little of it.
Oh yeah. That made it better because there wasn't so much.
And there was
I
so much
I
material like there was so much material to explore like fantasize about or when you were a kid like have your action figures do that because like Star Wars was such a like kind of like a sparse story with so much like ground to
I
explore.
I kind of agree with that. I do think though that they could have gotten around it if they did. I understand what you're saying where it's like Marvel can genre swap and they can, but I felt you could do it less with Star Wars obviously because you're setting it like a space opera setting. But you could do more, or it could have things that they could have done that would have made it work better than it's been doing. Is if you actually did genre shift, and you saw a little bit of that because like the first season of Mandalorian was basically shamelessly ripping off the samurai manga Lone Wolf and Cub but it was basically like a space western samurai
Well, I mean that's
pick.
what the first A New Hope is just a is just
Hidden Fortress.
yeah, it's just
The
hidden
Hidden
for
Fortress
it's
by
just
Kurosawa.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just shamelessly
it is,
ripping off Saturday morning serials from when
right.
Lucas was a kid
But
in Kurosawa films.
hold on, walk with me. Like Mandalorian, the first season, like that's what it was. It was like a space western, like
Hmm.
samurai Lone Wolf and Cole pastiche. So it was that, and then what happened the second season? Boom! Oh, we gotta add lots of Jedi guys. Got to put Ahsoka everyone's favorite character. Like, shut the fuck up, Dave Filoni. She's not. But people again, people were like, "Oh my god!" At the end of
Yeah.
Mandalorian season 2, and I'll spoil it for people because it's been years at this point. If you haven't seen it, like at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't watched the final episode, and it had been out like a couple weeks. And I remember like on social media, everything, people were like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!" And I watched it, and I got pissed off because what do? They put Luke Skywalker in. They use like a CGI DH version of Mark Hamill and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm fucking done. Like I don't want the Jedi and everything.
The structure of that really pisses me off too, because that was like a 2-part episode, and the whole thing that happens in that episode is the fight to get Giancarlo Esposito. We're gonna get to him. We gotta take him, and it's the absolute looming threat of what the Dark Troopers are, and how terrifying it is that there's so many of them. And then whenever the Jedi flies in, and it's just like flying them all over the place, it's just like, well, what the hell? Because you've undermined the rest of the episode. You have gone back, you have retroactively undermined everything that your main characters went through to get to this point. Kind of like the finale of How I Met Your Mother that broadcast. It goes through and invalidates everything they went through because it's like,
Yeah.
sorry, you're not as cool as this guy is. And it's like, first of all, Luke Skywalker is not flying Baby Yoda on his lap in that X-Wing all the way back to wherever they're going. That's just not going to happen.
Look, yeah, but look, you could have got more mileage than you have been with Star Wars if you did jump around. And what's like the most, well, I haven't seen it. I understand it was very well done. But what's one of the at least most well received, at least critically, like pieces of Star Wars, that
Are
they
you
have
talking
done?
about Andor or Rogue One?
Andor.
Yeah, Andor.
Like,
I haven't watched it yet.
and that was something that it was set obviously in the Star Wars, but it was basically like a political espionage, like thriller. But outside of like a couple things, like they immediately have to push. Like, look, I get that they're probably the most popular, but not everything Star Wars needs to be. Hey, look, guys, oh, you like this? Got to stick a bunch of space, ninja wizards with laser swords in it. You don't need the Jedi in fucking everything. And back in the day, it was like when Star Wars first came out, it's kind of pressed upon you that it's like the Jedi were rare. Like, and of course, in the first trilogy, it was like, well, they're rare because like they hardly ever exist anymore, like because they got killed. And the prequels, it's like, well, there was a bunch of them, but even then, it wasn't like, oh, there's like a million Jedi. It was like, yeah, there's like a few hundred, maybe a few thousand, and then they got killed by the end of the prequels, most of them.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to cram Jedi into everything, and
Well,
it's
don't
like,
worry, they're gonna be.
but you're limiting it. And it's diminishing returns because everything they do has to be jam full of Jedi, and it sucks.
Well, they're
They
gonna.
did. Good.
They're gonna be cramming Ahsoka into everything now because Filoni's obsessed with her. So.
Well, yeah, and they're coming out next year with Jedi Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, which is like, well, that sounds like, well, it probably will fail because now it's like the whole brand is like tainted. But it's like, well, in theory, like this could be cool because it's like maybe you're gonna move away from Jedi. It'd just be about like Starfighter pilots, X-wing pilots.
They're doing
but they're not.
They're doing
gonna cram that full of Jedi. I know they are.
Yeah. Well, but the other problem is they're banking really heavily and you see it in box office subs. Like the Cope's like, well, people are gonna come in to see Ryan Gosling. It's like he's never been a draw. Like you guys are insane. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Margot Robbie. Like she doesn't draw people. Like they'll cope to Barbie with the two of them, and it's like no, that sold because it was Barbie.
He's not like.
He's not gonna drive people away, but he's
draw.
not. But he's not gonna. He's not gonna carry. Like he's not gonna carry. He is not gonna make a difference in that movie's success or failure. He's neutral.
You're saying this when earlier this year, like he was in Project Hail Mary, which made like a shit ton of money.
Yeah, but I would argue that was devoid of him, though.
I think he's a positive for the box office. Again, he's not like a billion-dollar star, but I don't think that if you're counting on him to save your movie.
That you could have gone through and gone, this is good, this is good, this is good. We're going to use these things
Mhm.
and make Star Wars material off of them.
Closing LucasArts pissed me off too, but that's a rant for a different time.
Well, and so they could have done that, but instead, the mouse doesn't want to pay royalties to people, so the mouse didn't want to pay royalties to Timothy Zahn. So the Heir to the Empire trilogy, which would have been a great sequel trilogy, no, we're not doing that. And then when all the fans are like, "Hey, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn?" and they're like, "Oh, he's not canon anymore," and they're like, "Hang on, I don't have my."
No,
I
until
realized I wanted my prop for this one. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's not canon anymore," and they were like, "Say that again, huh? Huh?" And they're like, "Oh, he's in Rebels. Yeah, you like." And so they had to end up paying Timothy Zahn anyway.
And then they ruined the character.
Yeah,
yeah, he's not continuity. He's not canon until they need him for like a Dave Filoni
And
project.
his
Right.
plan, his genius is just doing absolutely pants on head stupid things.
but they could have done that.
Not
They
to be
could have
confused
done.
with shoe on head, but whatever.
They could have done Heir to the Empire. They could have done something very different. Like I'm kind of stuck on it because I said it in chat. But they could have done something with Truce at Bakura. They could have done. There's stuff that's in the EU
Or you could
that
have
is worth exploring.
just done
But they didn't. We don't want to. We don't want to pay for that.
you could have just done Old Republic if you didn't want to screw around with it and just be like, yeah, we're gonna do our own thing and go to like the Old Republic because
Or
there's
say, here, just go with me for a second. Star Wars subtitle Outer Rim, and it's in Star Wars, and it's in the Outer Rim, so you see some stuff you recognize, but you have new characters. You could even have different Force traditions that aren't Jedi. I'm not saying The Witches of Dathomir was like an amazing book or anything, but just do something that's a little different. It's like, oh, this is fun. This is a different way to look at it, and it doesn't have to be light side, dark side, or it is, but it's seen through this lens, so it's got a new variation to it. But no, we can't have that because we're not absolutely 100% sure that people are going to recognize the characters. Like, well, no kidding. That's how Snake eats its tail.
yeah.
Is well, this isn't the same as it was. No, of course it's not. When you drive the tent peg into the ground far enough, you can't see the tent peg anymore,
Well,
and it becomes pointless.
you also have a guy that's high up the food chain of creative now that's like obsessed with these characters from a niche cartoon that like barely anyone saw and like shoving them into everything and then they fail repeatedly, but he keeps shoving them into things because like five
Yeah,
people on social media care about them.
because they're his most favorites,
Yeah.
and
And it's like, and the problem with that is like, so then you keep pushing those, but your primary audience is a bunch of men in their 40s and 50s that didn't watch it because they were adults when the cartoons came out, and then those characters fall flat because they're cartoon characters and they're very one note and one dimensional.
yeah,
I'm not trying to say Star Wars was ever like this bastion of great writing, but like they just don't have the complexity of like the newer
it's just
of the older characters.
they won't do it's the flat out resistance to doing anything slightly different at all, and then doing it worse.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson was absolutely someone who never should have been in charge
Mm-mm.
of a Star Wars. When Ryan Johnson looks at Luke Skywalker, when it looks at Mark Hamill goes, "Luke Skywalker wouldn't do this," and Ryan Johnson, not exact words, but Ryan Johnson says, "Shut up." He should have just been kicked out the airlock.
The
There
only
are
thing
people who
the only thing he did remotely interesting, they doubled down and made even worse. because he actually almost made Ray interesting for like 5 seconds by saying like, "Oh, your parents were just a couple of druggies that died,"
Yes.
but then the next movie they're like, "Well, actually, she's a Palpatine," and at the end she's gonna say
Yeah,
she's Ray Skywalker, which just
that pissed me off, but that was like the most interesting thing they did in that entire sequel trilogy, where and I didn't like, there's many things I didn't like, but in Last Jedi, like I didn't like how they had who's the Adam Driver character's name? Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
I didn't like how he killed Ray, like half, well, I guess 2/3 of the movie or whatever. He kills Snoke, whatever. And it's like, he just killed your big bad guy. Like, what the hell? And then it's like, well, he's going to take over now as the evil bad guy. And it's like, oh, okay, all right. But that was the interesting part. It's like, he goes to Ray. It's like, you know, say it. Like, you know, who are you? Like, where are you from? It's like, you're nothing. You're nothing. Your parents were filthy junk traders, sold you for like booze, drugs, whatever, like that. You mean nothing. You're no one, except to me. And it's like, there's so much that goes into that, because it's like they kind of established that those two were like forced talking to each other, like they're kind of like dating or courting each other. Like, so does he have feelings for her? Like, maybe, like, is he just trying to corrupt her to be evil with him? Like, I like to think like, yeah, maybe he did have feelings for her, but he's also twisted. So it is like a corruption thing, but it's like the most interesting thing. Boom, out the window.
Yeah.
She's
And
super
it's
important.
just
It's like,
so
why can't it be this?
damn.
That she was just like a nobody.
Yeah,
who just
because
luck of the draw
everybody
got-
doesn't have to.
was able to tap into the force.
this
Because
is
everyone
actually
doesn't have to be related to one of the same 5 people or
This is-
friends with them.
this is a great segue into our topic though of promotions going cold, because going from one dead property to another, should we say, I don't want to say dying because it's not going to die, but like kind of what has it been an ongoing story for about 3 weeks now, the SummerSlam ticket sales?
I'm not
It's
sure.
at least 2 weeks. It's at least 2 weeks because
at least 2
they've been
weeks.
trying all these sales and stuff, and like tickets are not moving like at all.
Yeah.
Like they can't.
No, I think the first night I think is hovering around like 21,000.
Yeah, and the next night's like 23.
Yeah, it's a little more. But the problem is, like, SummerSlam, I think last year or last time they were in this building, but I think it was like SummerSlam
They did like
last year.
like 60, but both.
Yeah,
Like,
it was at least like 50. So it's down dramatically. And the building that they're running it in this year seats like 72,000. I've seen some numbers where it's like, oh, actually, like for the wrestling setup, it's like 67. It's like, okay, well, whatever. Like,
it's still bad.
both nights are doing like a third of what it could be, and half of what it did last year. So
Yeah.
how is that good? And some people try to make excuses. Well, it's a bad economy. It is.
Yeah, but the World
Terrible
Cup didn't
economy.
have any. The World Cup didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
The UFC,
Lots of other things that have it. Yeah.
The UFC's had some pretty good. The NFL won't have any attendance problems. The thing that people need to realize, because they always make that excuse, and the economy isn't great, but the thing is, like, people will find money to do things they really want to do. And the thing is, the economy this year is no worse than it was last year when they were doing decent attendance.
So there's a story that Ted DiBiase told about wrestling in the Great Depression. Is that people didn't have money for a lot of stuff. They didn't have money for the mortgage. They didn't have money for food, but they would still go to wrestling shows because it gave them an escape from the horrendously despair of reality. And I used an adverb there when I should use an adjective, whatever. And so, yeah, people are going to find a way to spend on something that lets them not think about whatever is dragging them down, is crushing their soul. Sure, of course they're going to do that. But here's the problem. if you've already seen this match 2 or 3 times before, why are you going to pay to go see it again? Who cares? Yeah, what's going to be different? What's going to change? You know, don't tell me that it's like, oh, they're going to use this to build somebody new, because they don't. And you know how I know they don't? They never pushed Gunther up into the main event. Like he's semi main all the time. It's like, hey, what'd you do? You fed Goldberg and AJ Styles and
Cena,
Cena to Gunther.
so Cody could beat
How do
him.
you feed? How do you feed John Cena to somebody and not use that to just push them to
Because
the
they don't.
absolute moon?
Because they don't.
I
Because we talked about at the time and why I didn't think it mattered was because like, and it's the same reason Obafemi beating Brock doesn't matter. Is
yeah.
it like that is just one step. Like you have to follow it up, and like that's what they did
But
not do with Gunther.
because they don't have anything. I'm convinced of that now more than like people haven't like Triple H is a shit booker, and he's been getting by because once, let's say like a quarter, he does some sort of booking that's interesting or is at least for their fan base exciting. So that carries him through until like the next quarter when he has to do something like that. But the problem is like there's only so many like shocks and surprises. You have to follow it up, and if you
Yeah,
never do that, then you have like a toolbox and you're constantly like taking tools out, using them, and then throwing them like
it.
just chucking them over your shoulder. Eventually, you're gonna run out of like the gimmicks and the
Yeah,
toolbox
and
for that.
and a good example for me is like Braun Breaker. So like I wasn't gonna
Oh
watch.
my
I
God, Braun
wasn't gonna
Breaker.
like
Yeah.
watch the product or anything. But like last year, if you go back and watch some of these streams, I was kind of like, well, they're kind of doing something interesting. I kind of commend them. This is when we thought he was gonna get the title off of Punk, and like I was kind of watching because I was kind of interested. And then now they did the exact thing where they job you out to a main eventer and then they put a tag title on you, which just tells you like don't give a shit about them because we don't. And now I'm sitting here like I didn't even invest or like watch the product that much because I but like even the little tiny bit of energy I put into like caring and thinking it was interesting, I feel stupid now.
Braun Breaker,
Or John Cena
start of the
last
year.
year. I again
Well,
another one where I was like, oh, turning John Cena heel could kind of be interesting, and
yeah.
then yeah,
Oh, terrible idea. But
they really make
to
me
go,
look
what?
for being such a hater. They repeatedly make me look like a fucking idiot for saying anything nice about them.
Yeah. Well, to close like the loop with Gunther, it's like that's part of what I would get with Triple H. It's like, oh, let's have Gunther like the shock of like, oh, he's retiring, Goldberg. Oh, and he's retiring Cena, and it's like, well, nothing ever comes of that. Nothing ever. He retires AJ Styles. Nothing ever came of it. And Alvarez just said like a couple days ago, it's like this is like the word, like the biggest disappointing storyline that they did because they did nothing with. And it's like, you know what? Like, there's a lot of things that Brian says nowadays, and I'm like, it's office rocker. Like, he's just like saying shit. But he's absolutely right. Like, it was just not thought out, and they had nothing to follow through. And that's on the creative team, which is again,
Triple H.
that's Triple H, and Triple H, of course, does that thing, and people allow him to get away with it. Where it's like any good thing, it's like, oh, that was me. Like, it was my idea. It's like like the one like I'll say good. I don't know that it's good, but at least the one like thing that is a quarter that's exciting or interesting or that your fans really like, uh, that's well received by your fan base, like you'll take credit for. But then like the 20 other things that are like boring or shit, it's like, oh, that wasn't me. Wow. Or
You
you just,
mean
let's
you
be
mean
quiet
like
about
when
that.
people were pretending like the CEO of TKO was writing Pat McAfee's promos for him in the lead up
Oh
to
yeah.
Mania?
Like Ari Emanuel is
Yeah.
like, like directing, like how he's sending in scripts. It's like,
Or when Ari Emanuel like personally fires everyone that gets everyone up in arms, like that they don't just say to the company like, "Hey, we need you to cut this much from your
it it lit
payroll,"
and
and
Meltzer has literally said over and over again, like it's like they maybe like TKO management is like, we need to get rid of some people, but it's Triple H and I guess Nick Khan too being like, they make the decisions. They put up the names. They decide who
Like
get around.
let's say they let Bailey go tomorrow. You think Ari Emanuel even knows Bailey or could pick her out of a crowd to say get rid of her on
No,
this one? Like
no,
they
and
say what they do. This is what they do. They say, okay, this is your budget for the year. You need to trim. We'll just throw a number out. You need to trim $4.5 million off the payroll for the new
yeah.
fiscal year, and then
Mhm.
that goes to Triple H and Nick Khan to make the choices. So that favorite wrestler you're blaming TKO on, like Triple H got rid of them,
But
especially if they're black.
but that's now the flip. That's what they used to do with Vince back in the day. It was like, oh, like Vince loved me. It wasn't him. It was, it was Johnny Ace or it
Yeah,
was, one of the other guys. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like they don't
no,
run the company. Vince does.
yeah,
He makes the call.
Who made
Like
that
you're telling,
call?
like, yeah, you're telling me that Vince is like, oh man, I don't know what to tell you, man. Johnny Ace doesn't want it here. So
and I
it's
hate
like,
to
no, he makes
say,
the
Yeah.
call.
If Vince loved Chris Masters, do you think that John Laurinaitis could fire Chris Masters and Vince would just let that go?
Yeah, no.
Like seriously?
I think the one thing I will say though, I hate to say anything nice about Vince, is like he did not do the Triple H thing where he's like the first one to push everyone out of the way to get all the credit, and then like the first one to run away as soon as like it something went wrong. Like he tended to pretty much like take all the blame and then like not
He owned
trying.
he owned all of it.
Yeah, but
You know.
he also like, Vince wouldn't have been out there trying to steal John Cena's moment at the end. Like that's the big difference
Yeah,
between the two of them.
there was a quote that one of my favorite teachers I ever had said. He said, "The way you know someone is a good leader and a good coach is that when everything goes well, he gives credit to everybody else. And when everything goes poorly, he takes all the blame. You know they're a bad coach if when everything goes well, they take all the credit, and when things go badly, they pass all the blame." It's like, wow. Is there a better way to describe Triple H than that?
Yeah, and it's someone
Or
that's
Paul Levesque, whatever.
it's someone that's managed people before too. Like it's so counterintuitive to how I operated, because there'd be a lot of times like something would come up and the person that was like I was working with is like, okay, this is what you're gonna say in the email, and to answer their question. And the implication would be like, you're going to do this because you're going to take all the credit, and then you're going to take all the slaps on the back and take the win. And you're going to pretend like I didn't say any of this stuff.
Yeah. There
Which
is
Triple H would
one
never do.
thing, and there is one thing in my time as a supervisor that I was like, nope, that was me. And it wasn't even so much it was something that I thought up, I made, and I implemented. It didn't have anybody else involved with it. But it came from me talking to everybody and hearing them say certain things and going, we should do something about this. My team right now, I will turn around and say, oh no, that was their idea. Or they recommended this whenever I'm talking to folks. Why? Because I want to make sure that people know that folks on my team are competent. I want them to get their credit, I don't want to be I don't need to be the guy who's not an on-screen talent anymore but still have my face in the opening crawl.
Yeah. I kind of wonder too if the two-night deal is also hurting them for this, because like let's just say we're Joe casual fan, and maybe we have like $100 sitting there, and you're looking and you're kind of like, well, I could afford a SummerSlam ticket, but then you start thinking it's like, well, shit, I can't afford to go to the whole event, so what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Do I have to pick this is on this night, this is on this night? I have to pay for the hotel, I have to pay for that. Or I could save money and stay home and
Well,
watch it on TV.
even if you're local, like I don't know if I'd want to go to a 2-day event, like even when like because that's 2 days. Even if you just are driving downtown to go to your local arena, that's a whole like afternoon and night you're not home, and like especially for this, you're gonna blow your whole weekend just on wrestling. Like, do you really want to do that?
it's look. I have said for a while that if someone ever gave me NFL tickets, I wouldn't go because, frankly, I'd rather watch it on TV, and it'd be a miserable experience to
Football's
be there live.
football's better on TV than live. I think that's the only major sport that's true of. I would say hockey is amazing live and better on TV. Basketball is because you can appreciate the size, and then baseball because like not even because of the sport of baseball, like there is just something special about going to a baseball game.
I've been to I've been to NFL games, and it is a little better. It's watching it on TV. You can still have enjoyment, but I don't know. It works a little better.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Braun Breaker real quick?
Yeah.
Because he started the year where it was like, well, this is going to be his year. Like they're going to push him to the main title picture, and then he got hurt.
Well, no,
And
he
that was
jobbed the
unfortunate.
punk. He jobbed the punk at the start of the year.
He did, but it's like, all right, well, it seemed like,
And Roman had already pushed him out, I think, by the time he got hurt.
but it seemed like they were going to go with, like, maybe him going over Rollins for the title, which wouldn't have been as good as Punk. But I mean, it seemed like they were going to, like, try and transition him. And then he got hurt, so it's like, okay, well, they can do what has been done a million times in wrestling, where it's like the guy get hurt, but he comes back, and it's like, oh, now you're going to, like, strap a rock to his ass. It's like the comeback. No, like it's only been downhill to the
He
point where
jobbed every match to Rollins, I'm pretty sure.
jobbed, and then the big angle last night was, I guess, Maxine Dupree is now part of the Vision and is
Oh, good.
at least kayfabe dating Austin Idol. What was
Austin
his name?
Theory.
Austin Theory.
Austin Idol will be way
Which
better.
wait, how? Okay, just for a second, how is Austin Theory a good wrestling name? I don't understand that. Anyway, please continue.
He's still a thing. Like years later, he's still around. He's
People
terrible.
still don't give a shit about him. But Heyman sees something in him. He's one of those. He's like Rollins, where like all these wrestling promoters get like a chubby over him, and like fans don't give a shit.
No,
Austin Theory is the just incredible of modern WWE.
That was just a
Wow,
Heyman
yeah.
thing. But like I don't get it. Like they just keep putting, the crowds don't care. Like I was watching this guy that goes to like he goes around to Ollie's to like look at like the Star Wars and Marvel stuff that's still on the shelves. And he found he found a 2-pack with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And he's like they're the bargain bin where these jobbers belong, and I just howled with laughter.
Yeah.
It was like one WWE toy that was them, and I was like, yeah, that really tells you something that they made it to Ollie's.
There's like a million Eternals figures still there, but and then
Oh,
Austin Theory.
I think I've sent you guys pictures. No, Shad and I do that as a joke. We'll go into Ollie's and we send pictures of the Eternal figures because, like,
They're
you'll go
still there.
Yes, and there's, I swear, in the one closest to me, there's 100 at least.
10,000 years from now, the human race will be extinct.
And they'll still be there.
And aliens will come visit us, and they'll find like the wreckage of an Ollie's, and they'll do an archaeological dig, and they'll just find Eternals figures, and they'll think that they're like basically like some relics, some like archaeological artifacts of depictions of our gods.
We found this.
We worship them.
We found this hard drive. Let's see what it has. And it's just a bunch of stuff about how Eternal sucked and it tanked and no one bought the stuff, and they're gonna go, oh, never mind. Or the next Fallout game is gonna, because it's the only way they're gonna get any money out of that property is they license that in the next Fallout game, and that's what's on all the shelves at Megalomart is still those things hanging there.
It's gonna be like an alien race is gonna come after we're long gone. They're gonna find like a Doug Walker video and be like, obviously these people are so stupid they didn't know how to breathe.
Yeah.
Cut Doug a break.
Anyway,
they would not get the irony of. I have more respect for Doug than I do for a lot of YouTubers.
Yeah. Anyway, the big angle was Austin Theory and what's her name, Maxine Dupree joining Austin Theory in the Vision, and like was Otis supposed to be in love with her, I guess, and like she like broke his heart or something.
Are we doing Otis again?
Yeah, we're reheating the nachos of Otis in love with a much more attractive woman
I
than
thought
him.
with
They did
with
that
a
with Mandy
blonde
Rose
woman.
years ago.
Can I
Years
just
ago.
say I'm shocked that Otis? I didn't even I thought Otis was fired. I thought they like Otis was gone in one of those releases.
No, like
the last
he's a
two.
guy like he's gonna skate because he's not a bad worker, but he's one of those guys that's like you can do comedy with him, and he'll just be around like forever
Well, he
because
was
that's
with
like they found a niche for him.
he teamed with Chad Gable for like forever, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, Alpha Academy stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's like the big angle. And you had Braun Breaker part of it because he's the Vision, and he's just in the background. And it's like, what a turn of fate! Like 6 months ago, you were challenging for the world title, and it looked like they were probably going to still push you to the main event. Maybe not over Punk, but at least over Rollins. And here you are, like 6 months later, like you're not even like you're like a bit player. I think somebody, I don't know if it was like Jacob or if it was like Keem, but some of the more critical people of WWE and online, they're like, Braun Breaker has become an NPC, and it's like, well, fuck, you're right. Like he has, like he's just background character at this point, and that's a guy who he is talented. Like you should absolutely be doing something with him, but you're not. And that's down the line. That's part of why I think like that. Well, it is a cold company because creatively they're garbage. There's lots of reasons why you could say like, well, the metrics are hurting because the metrics are down. Like there's a whole other aspect we haven't talked about that's just come out like the last day or two and like the last couple of weeks. And of course, there's all these caveats like, well, World Cup, whatever. Like Meltzer has flat out said the last like week or two that Dynamite, if you factor in Max, which both people don't for some reason, but they need to. I think last week. Now again, last week was obviously like Omega winning the title.
Yeah, but
that last week beat Raw.
I will say
it flat out beat Raw in terms of like numbers.
I will give one caveat to last week's Raw. I don't think the World Cup is a good excuse, except for that Raw they were going up against the United States, and it was the United States, like one of the best teams they fielded in a long time. So I could see them getting wrecked on that one, but that was also, I think he said it was the worst, least watched Raw of all time, or like in the bottom 4.
But again, we've talked about this on the show. It's not as if like, well, it's been doing fantastic, but then there's this bad number. It's been bad. It's what, 2 years ago, whenever it started, like not maybe last year.
It's
last
a year,
2025.
Yeah, it's a year and like
a year and a half. It's been going. That was like the highest it's ever been, and then it's been going downhill, downhill, downhill. And the last month or two, it's been bad.
But I just think
it's not.
Streaming was a massive. I think going to streaming was a massive mistake. I think they did it because TV wasn't giving them good offers because of how SmackDown did. I think, but I think it was a massive mistake because there's a sense of urgency I think you lose on streaming that I think hurts wrestling, because people talk about, and this is like these are like smart fans that like watch, like us, that watch old stuff where it's like, oh well, I'll watch Dynamite the next day, but there is a large contingent of people that if they don't have that urgency to watch it live, they're not going to watch it as a rerun because it's over.
Yeah. I'm always behind on watching stuff because I can't watch it like live usually, so I watch it like through DVR. Eventually, in the near future, when we finally like renovate our house, we're gonna have to move out for a brief period. It's like that's the point. I'm gonna cut cable because I'm not gonna. Why would I need cable in a house like I'm not living in for like a couple months? So I'm gonna cut cable and then just be internet. And at that point, it's like I will just go to watch Dynamite or AEW Collision just through HBO Max. Like that's a lot of people though. A lot of people do that now, but that's when I'll do it. And I'm gonna have to make an effort. It's like, oh, I need to go back because now it's like at least I have the DVR. It's like it's recorded. I can watch. You
can save Dynamite. Like you can put it in like your favorites for Dynamite and Collision, and it'll update.
Yes.
But I think the other thing that really fucked them, and again, this is not their fault. I'm not being an apologist for them. It is just a truth that we have to bring up. they did get screwed because they went to Netflix and then they did that big UI change that was just god awful last year, like 5 months after they joined.
So the going to Netflix has seemed to me to be a great example of why you don't always go with who has the biggest check.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
what happens with net okay, if it's on TV, you can flip back and forth, not a big deal. If I'm watching something on Netflix and I leave Netflix, even if I just turn it over to antenna TV, when I come back to it, I have to go back through the whole thing of restarting it. Like it is more difficult to get to. And
And it's not as friendly to rewind as a DVR is.
right. And so what you have is it is more of a hassle to watch now. It's got the added cost of you having to have a certain subscription to get to it, which I guess you could kind of call cable that if you really wanted to.
And to go along with what you're saying is people don't understand, especially online and super fans, they don't understand that each level of friction you add, you lose people. Even if you think like, well, they're just clicking on Netflix and going to find it, is like, yes, but that is different than turning your TV on and hitting 1 2, which was USA on the cable system I was on forever. That is
So
different than
yeah,
than
I think it was 32 on
and
mine.
then if your internet's out, you're fucked. Like
Yeah.
there is an extra layer of friction, so you're automatically losing those people. Some
So
amount of
the
people.
phrase that I like to use, I might have used this before. If I have, please pardon me. But the example I like to use is whenever they started banning smoking in the US. Let's just say you've got this guy that works in his office and he smokes all day at his desk. And if you were to say to him, you can't smoke in your office anymore, you have to go to the end of the hall, there's a big group of people who are just going to quit smoking because they don't want to go get up and walk down the hall to do it. They do it because they could stay put at their desk and do it there, but the moment you add a the moment you add more layers to it, okay, it isn't that you have to go down to the end of the hall. Now you have to go outside of the building. You don't have to go out. Now you don't just go outside of the building. You have to go around the corner. And every time you add a step, you lose more and more and
And
more people.
the it, the taxes. Smoking is actually one of the few, I would say, successes that the U.S. has had of legislating a behavior away.
Yeah. And
Because
it
the other
wasn't,
thing is the price too. Like so, every time you're like, we're paying a 5 cent tax on there. Because my dad used to smoke, and he quit cold turkey because I guess cartons hit like I don't. It was the 70s, so like they hit like $5 for a carton. He's like, "That's it, I'm done." And he never smoked again.
yeah. There's, it was not just, hey, we're not, we're putting these things in place that get in the way of smoking, but it's also the education rollout campaign of, by the way, these big giant tobacco companies were lying their asses off to you. They know it's going to kill you. So you put those things to get the education campaign and the legislation about it. And that has led to the drastic drop of of tobacco products in general.
Well, and I think
Ye-
there was a cascading effect because you got our generation to take it up less, and I think the
Yeah,
generation before us had started quitting. So then, like compared to when I was a kid to now, like way fewer people smoke. But then your kids are less likely to smoke because you didn't smoke because they don't have that learned behavior and exposure to it.
it is interesting to me that I don't see it more commonly, but I notice it more is that now I see more people who do the occasional cigar or pipe tobacco as
Well,
opposed to buying a pack of
the
cigarettes.
problem is now the youngins are doing like the Zins, which aren't good for you. They might be worse for you than cigarettes.
The so it sounds to me that they sound a lot like snus, which is something that came back in the mid aughts, and snus, which was a little package that was like dip, little package you just put in your cheek and you absorb it that way. They definitively tied that one to pancreatic cancer real quick,
Oh my
and it went
god.
away. Yeah.
I I had a so fun fact. In like the last year, like we have a friend, like because we're friends with them, but their daughter is my daughter. My oldest daughter is like best friend. And the dad, like he used to smoke. I used to smoke back in the day. Like I guess he's done. So he does. Like I guess at least he did for in the last year. He did for a time like the Zens or nicotine patches,
Yeah.
pouches. And he gave me one, and I did it. And we were all like, we were doing like an event out with the kids, and then like we ate dinner afterwards. And so I did it like at that event. He's like, oh, here. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, it made me. I think it was like because I don't smoke anymore. It's been years, and I think it was too much nicotine because I literally it made me ill to the point where I had to like. I'm not joking. Like, you think I'm pussy if you want. I had to pause during the dinner. I'm like, guys, I gotta run to the bathroom, and I had to go, and I literally fucking hurled in the
That's
bathroom
why I
because
don't
it made
smoke
me like it was
cigars.
so much. It was so much it made me ill. It's like
Yeah.
too much nicotine in my
I
blood.
I
I don't
I used to like the occasional cigar, and I haven't been able to smoke one for like 15 years now because like I'll go home and I'll puke after like an hour after smoking one. It just goes straight to my stomach for some reason.
I don't smoke cigars that often. I probably have a couple lying around, but it's because more like it to do that. It's like it's an investment. You know, you're not.
Your
The
shit's
thing about
like,
cigarette.
and then
Well,
like,
yeah. If you smoke a cigarette back in the day, it's like I could like smoke a cigarette or two of them in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, but a cigar, it's like I gotta sit down for an hour, like enjoy the
yeah, but
cigar,
then I
which I don't
mean,
have the time. Plus, my wife like hates to smoke. It like gives
and
her a
and
headache and
then
all that stuff.
your all your stuff stinks. Then if you throw it in the clothes hamper,
Yes.
then the clothes hamper like is gonna knock you on your ass if you open it. Like it's just not.
Yeah. That's
So
whenever like when I would smoke a cigar, it would be like I'm
And then
outside doing yard
the
work or
morning
I'm like grilling or
aftertaste in your
something. I'm gonna
mouth.
be out like an hour. Yeah, it's
yeah.
all.
That's
Oh
what
yeah, I would.
that's what
Yeah,
that's what got me off of it real quick is like waking up like the next morning like my mouth tastes like an ashtray. Like I'm not doing that anymore.
So just to make the point, right? And part of I wonder if this is part of it, but where it is time investment, but the difference, like you said, with cigarettes and a pipe, is you have to go through all the trouble of packing this little bastard, putting it in there, packing it, tapping it down, tapping it some more, putting a little more in that's loose so you get airflow through it, and then keeping it lit as opposed to being like, here, click, click, it's on, and it'll just sit there and smolder for an hour if you don't even puff on it. Like it is full bore convenience and mainlining nicotine as opposed to the old methods that were not fast.
My dad was a volunteer firefighter in the 70s. This is just a funny side story, but he said they got in trouble because the chief caught them smoking in bed.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, you're firefighters, you should know better. But he said this guy was like crazy. Like he said you'd be like crawling through a house that's on fire and you'd look over and the fire chief is just like, oh yeah, spray that, and he's in the fire like smoking a cigarette. And I'm just like, oh my god. I don't know, he's got some crazy stories. Like he said, there are some horrific ones, like someone like fell and like splatted and they had to
Yeah.
hose it down. He's like, yeah, you could taste it. I'm like, ew.
Ugh.
Yeah. And they had to do a decapitation from a train.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with someone a little while back because I don't remember what led to it. I think someone sent me an FBI posting and they're like, "Hey, this sounds like it would fit your skill set." No, it wasn't. It was a not FBI. God, what am I thinking? It was a deputy sheriff position because it was at a time where I wasn't getting paid a whole lot. And I'm like, okay, wait, let me do something real quick. And so I asked a dude. I asked a dude who he's a state police officer. I said, "Okay, how do you know if this line of work is for you?" He goes, "Can you go to do a wellness check, walk into a residence, and then find where someone has splattered their head with a shotgun? Because if you can do that, then okay, it might be for you." And I was like, "That answers my question." You know,
You
I,
know, I've seen some
nope.
I've seen some pretty horrific stuff in pictures from my job.
Yeah.
And people don't believe me because I'm like, because I've seen pictures of decapitations and people like that was pretty bad. I'm like, no, the burns are worse. And I was like, because when you see like a decapitated head, like your brain doesn't like comprehend it, and you're just kind of like, oh, that looks like a movie prop. But it burns, like your brain knows what you're looking at, and that's even worse.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's a
It
little
doesn't hit,
gap that makes it look unreal.
and yeah, and like a burn, it's still a person. And you're just like, oh, that's terrible. But yeah, I've seen some. I've seen some. Well, and yeah, that, and then there's like I think there's like the probably like the homeless guy you've dealt with for like 6 months ODing and finding him dead. That's probably gotta suck. And
Yeah.
the stuff with like kids has to suck. Because my friend is I have a friend, my best friend's like a pastor, and like it's destroyed him as a human being, pretty much, because he's
Oh,
had to deal with like all the horrors that come with that of like people scamming you like the food bank all the time, like the child abuse stuff that you can't like fix, but like you're involved in because of your position. Like it's
yeah,
absolutely it's absolutely just been hard on him as a human being, and he's
yeah,
not like the
yeah,
same. Like it's a tough situation.
yeah, yeah. The humanity will take a rasp file to your soul if you are not careful about how you interact. Look, I'll be full on. I work in community action, and I had to very intentionally gap myself between my work and, you know, when I'm off the clock. I had to very intentionally be like, nope, 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 because I can only care about so much. And if I stayed at that too much, then it was going to burn me out. For the similar kind of thing, you know. I don't, God, I don't get it. You know, you do like a back to school thing, and people are like, well, I got my one kid with me, but the other two are at home. Okay, why? So that they can just take more free
Yeah.
stuff. Not because they need it. They just want to take more free stuff so that they can have more of it.
And then people will bitch that you're not doing enough for the community. It's like, well, if you get the motherfuckers to stop scamming us out of 20% of our shit, then maybe
Yeah.
like we'd be able to do more.
Yeah, when my church did back to school stuff, it was like, if the kid's not here, we can't give them that.
But then you're the
Well, they were
asshole.
sick, they couldn't be here. If the kid's not here, we can't do that.
Yep.
And
And
oh, I can't believe you would be like, okay, so you're gonna try and guilt trip me for doing something good for people?
usually, and those are the scammers too, because the people are just like, okay, I understand. Like, that makes sense. Probably do have a sick kid at home, and are just like, okay, I understand. Like, there's other people, there's other human beings in this world beside me. But
It is the selfishness of people
no,
that
it's
makes me
awful.
so utterly crazy.
It's awful hearing his stories about how they ran a food bank and all like the scamming and shit people would pull on them. It's just
Yeah,
you only get so much, and then you lose another 10 or 15% of that if people like that don't need it taking it from you. It's just it's
yeah.
awful.
There's the community actions were established to run the LIHEAT program, low income heating energy assistance program. It exists so people don't freeze to death in their homes in the
Hmm.
winter. And you have people rolling. This is going to sound like I'm talking smack. I'm not, because I saw it happen. Folks rolled in wearing brand new high end shoes, wearing expensive NFL jerseys, wearing jewelry with their disconnect notices. And I'm just like, you're gonna tell me?
Oh, I worked in a Walmart. Like, you want to talk about seeing that all the time? Food stamps all the fucking time.
Yeah, but
And
they'll
then you
come
get
in and they'll be like, "Oh no, I can't pay my power bill." And it's like, and you just kind of look at them and you're like, and I know this sounds bad, but whenever they come in all decked out looking like that, and you're like, you just kind of look at them and you just start looking for something they did wrong, because if they walk out the door with that, And the little old lady who comes in behind them, who doesn't have a support structure and didn't want to come in because she was trying to figure it out herself, and then there aren't any funds for her, which has, I have seen happen. It's like you get this discretion where you're like, let's see, have you got everything? Oh, sorry, I don't have a copy of this thing.
And the other one, other than food stamps, you got a lot. Like you would try, they would. Oh man, like you would get. They would try to scam you so hard on Wick. They would try to get shit past you, and it'd be
Yeah.
like, no, that has sugar in it. You can't do it. It's not in the book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That was
and the other thing that pissed me off about that, like, so if you fucked up and they scammed you, they wouldn't get in trouble or lose anything. Your store would get in trouble and you would get fired. Because God forbid, like, but like I hated Wick because you had I'm old. It's probably you probably scan it and it tells you if it's Wick or not. But like when I did that stuff, you had to get a fucking book out and like look each thing up.
when I flew a cash register in the mid aughts. Um, Whenever they would bring something, you'd ring everything up, and then they would hand you whatever the WIC voucher or the card or whatever it was is. You'd go and you'd first of all, a manager had to clear it for you to input it so that you didn't just like do it a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But then what would happen is it would automatically deduct the stuff that qualified. Here's the one that killed me. Exact thing you're talking about that killed me. When I worked at the battery shop, here I am, just trying to do my job, and this lady comes in to get a remanded battery. Fine, whatever. I understand things can be tough, and you're trying to. And she hands me a food stamp card, and I'm like, this won't work. She goes, oh, there's money on it. I said, I understand that, but this card right here is a food stamp card. It will only buy food. Oh, there's money on it. I understand that. She goes, just run it anyway, fucko. And I was like, I looked her right dead in the eye because I knew that my boss would have kicked her out of the store for it. So I just held up the point of service thing and I ran it and it said rejected immediately and flipped her card back to her and went, too bad. And I'm going to call your boss about it. So I grabbed the phone and I handed it to her. I'm like, do it. Speed dial 1 right now. Do it.
You know, I don't think they even had the cards yet for food stamps when I did it because I know when I did it, that was still back in the days where the scam was the druggies would sell them for like 50 cents on the dollar to someone. And then the person using them wasn't actually like a recipient at the time, I think.
The thing that I saw was that they would what they would do is they would go buy stuff to resell to other people. Like they'd go and buy like
Mm-hmm.
cases of soda and then go sell them to folks that had vending machines to get cash for it.
You know what's funny about it? It's always funny is you can tell someone that worked in a supermarket in a cash register by their opinion on food stamps or their stories about it or their experience with it. Because
Yeah.
it's people will say certain things sometimes like, you never worked in a cash register, did you?
My most and I know I'm taking part of the digression right now. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
We'll get back to the topic in a minute, but everybody's got those weird social hot takes, and one of mine is we're never going to bring back the draft. It's just not going to happen. But if you wanted to have a draft, don't make it for military service. No. Make it so that everybody in their early 20s has to sign up and they're going to be they're going to be assigned to a different area and they're going to have bunk housing or whatever, or they're going to be assigned in a small apartment for it, and they're going to have to go work retail for 3 years.
3 years is a
And you
long
know what'll
time.
happen is all of a sudden you're going to start learning about consideration for other human beings
Oh, I think
because you don't want to be treated like that.
I think you could beat that into someone in 6 months.
Oh, you could, but let's really engrave it on their
Yeah,
soul, is what I'm saying.
you get treated. I mean, some people are cool. Like I had some cool experiences, and some people are really nice to me. But man, some people are just absolute
Yeah,
douches to
having
you.
someone who talks down to you about something you know more than them on is always, make sure this battery's 12 volts. It's got all car batteries are 12 volts. Well, that over there's that's a tractor battery.
But I will
Like
say
I can't give you a 6-volt battery in this size. It doesn't exist.
it is funny.
Okay.
It is funny once I had like a leadership job dealing with retail workers got a lot easier when I would ask them stuff because you would ask things in a way you learned how to ask things in a way that got like a really good response out of them.
Yeah, you be polite about it.
When like you would do
And
it in a way that's kind of like it's kind of asking, but you're doing like the boss like ask but telling way that like gets a response like a lot of times like, oh, this is a lot easier now.
I was going to say that mine would be I ask them, but I say it in a way where it's like, come on, dude, I know. And then be like, oh, okay, let me see what I can do.
Mine
Anyway,
was
match of the week.
mine was
This is a wrestling show.
mine was the I'm asking, but you have to say yes. It was kind of like the way I did a lot of stuff, but I'm asking you to be courteous about it. But the implication is you can't necessarily say no. But
because because of the implication.
yeah,
Because
but it's better than telling you. It
yeah,
So the match of the week is this is from 112. Well, I wanted to say too, with the going cold thing, is people are very obsessed on the metrics, but I think the other thing is, and you saw this a lot with AEW 2-ish years ago, is it's like the inability for anything to like gain traction or work. Even if they do something good, it kind of just doesn't go anywhere because like you're cold.
Yeah.
yeah.
I hate giving them credit, but the biggest outside of the wrestling bubble thing for them was when the Knicks won the championship. They had Dan Housen, you know, do his shtick where he had cursed the Knicks and he uncursed them, and then they went on this like win streak, which
Yeah,
obviously is not related to him, but
but
he
it's a
was like
fun,
part of
it's a
that.
fun little
And
side
and
character.
they're gonna have Brunson from the Knicks be on the WWE, like he's gonna appear on like a WWE show or something.
Mhm.
Of course, now he's gonna appear with like Roman Reigns, like not
Not
Danhausen,
Danhausen,
who
who
was
you'd
like,
actually, you're not going to have him do what you actually are interested in, which is interacting
yeah,
with
they're
Danhausen.
gonna pair him with obviously who they perceive and is their biggest star. But okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
that's about it.
Because
That's
who,
where it kind of
but that,
crossed the bubble.
why I think that's
But
stupid. It's such a wrestling thing. Is like, no one gives a fuck about Brunson on your TV. They care about Brunson interacting with Danhausen, is what they care about. They don't care about him in any other
if
like aspect.
if they care about that at all, which outside of the New York market they probably don't, but even then it's like the Knicks won like what 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago at this point. It's
Yeah,
been a while. Like no one is talking about that anymore. Like it's all been World
it's
Cup
and free
as it should
agency,
be. Yeah.
and it's free agency, so that already is like moved on from the championship cycle. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's already like
kind of
kind of
done.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
yeah.
but other than that, like who's talking about wrestling? Like no one.
No, we just talked about it with the UFC 250 card. Like they worldwide did like maybe as much as like 10 times that Mania probably did. Just to
Yeah,
show
and
you
then
how like far they're down they are.
yeah, and I was talking to you. It's like now I understand it's like special circumstances, but worldwide, like the UFC pulled like what? I think what? How
34.
much was it worldwide?
34. It was like
34.
yeah, it was like 20. It was like 17 for just North and South America and then worldwide, yeah, bumped it to
Yeah, and I think that the recent like US Belgium World Cup game was like 50 million or something.
yeah. To put it in
Like
perspective, UFC
it dwarfed. Like
but
and that's not the only one. I think like the Mexico England game
yeah,
did like
but
bigger numbers than
but
that too.
UFC 250 did punch it what about an NFL playoff game does. Not the Super Bowl, but what an NFL playoff game goes. So, but like could you imagine anything WWE related punching to like
Oh, no.
to
Yeah.
that? That's what my point is. It's not to like get into like the UFC numbers, but it's like that should show you how what the difference is. That like it was a special card, but it's like no, like that's not even they're not even in the same league. Like wrestling is that niche now.
Yeah, one of the things it seems to me about getting out of being cold is finally turning and looking at your audience and giving your audience good stuff they care about.
And getting lucky
Because
sometimes.
yeah, well, okay. For as an example, I think AEW cooled off a whole lot with all of the bullshit surrounding CM Punk.
Yeah, I'd agree with
There's
that.
a big heaping
And the TV
horse
was
ass
bad.
pile of dog shit,
And the
right?
TV was bad for a long time too.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of this stuff got screwed up because it had to cater around this fragile man's whatever horseshit. The thing that I think finally pulled them out of it was the return of a beloved character going back to prominence and fulfilling a big emotional thing. So Hangman Page comes back, starts his turn back to face, starts his ascension, and it kind of feels to me that that's what was bringing them out of
I
that funk.
I would say
And
consistent television too, like they they maintained a level and were slightly getting better every week on top of that. So it wasn't like you didn't go in and feel like you wasted your time. Like it isn't like where maybe something catches your interest. You're like, God damn, that show was garbage past what I wanted to see. Like I'm not gonna watch it again.
but if there's something you always want to see on it, you're still going to tune in a little bit. And then you'll probably see something else you like and something. If the whole thing's crap, then you get how WCW was dropping off. And that 99 early 2000, dear God, I'm getting ready to
Yeah.
I like as a WCW guy, I was like I'm just leaving it on Raw cuz I can't stand.
When they turned Sting,
Yeah, I
I was
can't
not
stand
done.
to watch this crap. But the thing that it seems to me is when you say, I want to make good product that our fans will care about. It's Lee Iacocca. How would you, turn things around for a car company? And Lee Iacocca said, I would make small, affordable cars that people want to buy. I'm going to give you what you want in a way that's easy for you to get it.
It that's so lost, like in wrestling, but just so that in our culture, it's like, yeah, actually, maybe you do things for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like, and I'm thinking of that now. I'm like digressing myself, but I'm thinking of that because in the context of like what's happening in our society right now,
Yeah.
not wrestling related, but if you want to like pull it in, it's like one of the big things now is I know Xbox, it's like Microsoft, it's its own thing, but Sony just announced like, oh, we're going to do away with disk drive. It's only going to be digital downloads, which they said that like last week. In the context of like the week before, it was like an announcement that people who had bought, not
movies.
rented, bought movies digitally on the Sony like store.
Yeah.
Sony just took them all off. Like it's like, well, I bought that. Like that's mine. Like I own the right to watch that movie whenever I damn well please. They just erased it
Yep.
from the people's hard drive digitally. So it's like, yeah, that's how it goes because if you just buy things digitally, unless you've taken it and you've stored it on a hard drive that then you can like then load to your
Hmm.
device over and over again, then it's not really yours. They can remove it whenever they damn well please.
Actually,
Uh,
Xbox is a good
there's
example.
You bought a license for access to something. You didn't buy it.
Actually,
yeah,
Xbox is a good example of what you're talking about in the reverse because they just got rid of Phil Spencer after a decade plus of just sucking. And they brought
yeah.
this new CEO in, and she's like, "Holy shit, we're losing all this money!" And like, there was all these politics to it, like we're gonna have to wait like 20 years for a Fallout game. And suddenly she gets in there and she's like, I don't care what you think. Obsidian's making the next Fallout game because we're not waiting that long. And people are like, holy shit, why did no one do this before? And I'm like,
Yeah, she's making moves, and some of the moves are gonna not be liked because
no, but
the
she's
average. That's a lot. That's a lot
that's
of averages.
that's what you
Like
have to do though. One
there's gonna be painful discussions,
there's
but
this
yeah, she
weird
seems like she's
there's
when
this
she first
weird
came in. When she first came in, I'm sorry to
yeah,
I
go ahead.
really am
Go
very
ahead.
sorry to
No,
but
it's
it was
okay.
like she came in and she's a woman of color, so the usual stuff. It's like, oh, like what was the woke hire? Like
No,
diversity hire. And it's like,
the bigger problem was she didn't come from AI, but like the thing was named AI, so all these people are like freaking out, like she's from AI. It's like, no, that's just a branding thing.
and she's younger, so it's like, well, what experience, whatever. It's like, well, maybe this person that's like 30, maybe like she's gonna actually take a different approach to things than the person who's like 55, 60,
Yeah.
and it's just this one of these executives is like, how can we maximize shareholder profits and I can get like a $20 million
Wow,
annual
that was
bonus. It's like,
actually
fuck you.
Yeah.
that was actually the opposite problem with Microsoft,
Mhm.
with their gaming division, was because I think the problem she's going to run into is they're gonna reduce staff because they have to. And online, it's like
Oh, they've already, yeah.
if you say one negative thing about the sacred dev, like that's just terrible, and we can't lay devs off because they obviously never make bad choices. But the problem with Microsoft is they didn't do anything. These companies, they would just throw money at them for years, and then they wouldn't they just wouldn't do anything, and then like no one would be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? We need you like,
Well, and it just seems like there was like horrible mismanagement and
well,
just
no
not
management,
like,
yeah. And then
yeah,
people
it's
are
like,
like,
oh, like what was the one that was a fucking disaster?
oh, Perfect Dark
Oh,
was in development for 7 years, and they had nothing.
no, what
Was
was
it
it that was like a huge
Anthem?
failure? Was it Overwatch?
Oh,
Anthem, maybe it was Anthem.
Starfield.
No, I mean, I think your maybe it was Anthem. It's like, oh, like let's spend like $400 million on this like thing, and
Oh,
it was like
Concord. I bet Concord's what you're
Oh,
thinking of.
it
Concord. Okay.
Concord. It was like it was just disaster. And then it's like you put it out there and it's such a disaster that you like shut it down in like two
Yeah, it was
weeks and it's like
Concord.
you just take the loss, and it's like you spent like hundreds of millions of dollars on this. Like you didn't, no one had oversight. It's just like you put it out there because it's like, some old fucking executive doesn't pay attention to this shit. And it's just like, oh yeah, 400 million. There you go. And then it's like, okay, this is the next Fortnite, right? Like we can make like $80 billion off this by just,
Sure.
endlessly just bilking people out
Yeah,
of like
sure.
the streaming and
Sometimes
all that. So it's like, no.
sometimes it's not that though. Like with Anthem was a total disaster, but the only fun part of the game that people liked was flying, and the devs were going to take it out. But one of the EA executives played an early build that still had the flying, and it's like, oh, he took this out, and he's like, why the fuck would you do that? That was the best part of the game. So he made them put it back in, and that's the only part people liked. Was because an executive said, like, had played it and was like, no, like, what are you doing? That's stupid.
No, you
Yeah.
gotta do that. Yeah.
It's there's this I didn't expect it, but Lee Iacocca had the right idea, even if it was like 15 years ahead of where all the rest of it would come from. Make stuff that people want to buy, and they will.
Yeah. But that so I digress, but that's what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah.
Sony is actively taking things like fuck the consumer, like we're gonna
Yeah.
maximize our own
Yeah.
like money and profit. Nintendo's not like that. Nintendo still is like, oh, let's put out games that people like. And it's like, now Nintendo's not perfect, but I mean they're taking like a very almost like,
Yeah.
fan consumer
But
approach. And it's like, well that's what works. Like how
even
about we
the
just
even the price increase that they took, I would say Nintendo took an inordinate amount of shit compared to everyone else over the price increase because of clickbait. And they had the lowest price increase, and they gave their consumers that, okay, it's going to change on this date, so buy it now if you don't want to pay the extra 50
Yeah.
bucks. They took the most shit for that, and they handled it the best, where everyone else was like, oh yeah, we're gonna, like, Sony's like, well guys, we got to raise like the online cost again, and we're also gonna up the console prices that are already overpriced.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
And
Nintendo didn't
so
go up that much. And again, I've been beating the drum about Nintendo on this show for years. The thing about Nintendo that I play like the Switch or the Switch 2 more than anything else because you can get so much stuff off it. Like you literally can go on the online store, and at any given point you can get games for like $5, $10, $20, and they're always on sale. Like you have 20 bucks. Like say like you budget at the end of the month, you have like $20, and it's like,
yeah.
well, should I go like, get like fast food, Taco Bell, McDonald's, whatever like that? Like,
Not
or do I
right
just
now.
well, not right now because you're gonna have explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
but uh, but if you had $20 and it's like, man, let me see what's on the Switch. And it's like $20 can get you like 4 or 5 games, like and fun games that you will play like for quite a bit. Like it's
Yeah.
very good value. But I'm bringing up that I had a whole point. The sticker, the whole point. It's like actually, it does fucking work to just give people what they want. Maybe that's what you do, and it's like you find, oh my god, like I've given people what they want. Like I've made them happy, and then there's loyalty. There's like
Yeah.
brand loyalty,
And
and that's what
sometimes
AEW. That's what AEW back in the day was. It's like, oh, AEW is predictable, but it's predictable in the sense that it's like they told you like 6 months in advance. It's like it's where we're leaning towards the storyline. You're like, I think this is where they're gonna go with the storyline, and then they would pay it off down the line, which would be like Hangman winning the title, and it's like, yeah, like they showed you that hand. It's like this is what could happen.
Yeah.
And you're like, is
Well,
it gonna
They
happen? Is it gonna
they
happen?
told you what was going to happen, and then they
6 months
did
later,
that,
it's happened. It's
and
like,
you were excited for
yeah,
it.
yeah,
and I think when you're in like WWE's position, and I don't know why they've never really done this, but like they're being extra obstinate about it now. Is like sometimes when you're in their position, you need to like just say, okay, we obviously need to get people back, so let's just do what they want and not jerk them around. Versus like, oh, we're gonna have Obafemi give up, like relinquish his title shot that was like a month of TV.
Yeah.
The people tried to defend, and I
Because
said like, and the answer was, it was a title shot for SummerSlam. It can only be used at SummerSlam.
yeah. Yeah. What is it that what's the defense for this one? Honestly, because I don't understand it.
And it's the same problem WCW had, is their fans were telling them up until the end what they wanted, and they didn't do it till the very end.
Yeah. Now, and that's the thing is at the very end, the program was turning around. The cruiserweight tag division was a ball.
Yeah.
It was great. You had I think I used to have a copy of the last Nitro, and you know what? That whole show was fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun to watch.
So yeah,
Anyway,
I
match
think
of the week.
okay, so match of the week. So this is from the AWA. Speaking of cold promotions, interestingly enough, 85 was like a really great year for them, and 86 is kind of where it started to come to a crashing halt really quick. And then by 87, like the promotion was just cold. But this is from January 12th of 88. I don't know if this
86.
was 86. Sorry, I had 88 on the brain for some reason. So
Yeah.
this is Stan Hansen defending the AWA World Title against Sgt Slaughter. We get a couple of Stan Hansen promos at the start, which I thought these were actually pretty fun.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Did you catch? I think at one point that Stan, like, I think slipped up. He instead of calling him Sergeant Slaughter, I feel like I am confident he called him Bob Slaughter.
Maybe.
Because like Sergeant Slaughter's real name is what, Bob Remus.
Yeah.
Like that's his actual shoot name.
No, he was
By the way,
like gorgeous Bob Remus.
I'm wearing a G.I. Joe inspired Slaughter's
He
Marauders
brought
t-shirt.
G.I. Joe up.
Oh.
I have a Crash Bandicoot. I have a Crash.
I'm sorry, I didn't do that. I
have a
finally wore a
You got a
wrestling shirt for the
Whose
show.
house? Yeah.
No, this is the on fire version.
Man, pay, yeah.
This was a Father's Day gift.
Yes.
I'm still waiting.
Swerve
for
had
my...
a great tweet, like when they like they AEW like was putting that on sale. I think he just tweeted like, "What the fuck?" like what's going on? Why are you doing this?
I have an AEW shirt on the way, but it should hopefully get here this week. I have a Crash Bandicoot shirt on.
For Father's Day, part of my gift was this and another Orange Cassidy whatever shirt, where it's just the Orange Cassidy, but it's the line drawing of the hand right here.
Yeah.
So talking about Father's Day, Fridays, I got a really nice new gaming chair, which is what I actually use just like as a work chair too. But it's sitting literally like 3 feet from me, but I have not like opened it up and it's like put it together, installed it, and started using it because again, we're gonna renovate our house hopefully in the next like few months, like 2-3 months. So I don't want to unpack things that I'm like gonna have to pack back again, so I've been holding off. But it's nice new gaming chair right there. It's blue, partly blue. But
Mhm.
anyway,
I need a new one
you'll be
because
seeing that in future like podcasts. You'll see me
this
like
one's
in the
like
back.
this one's like a
Get you.
decade old, so I need a new one.
Yeah.
Now I
It's
will.
actually like yours, only like the red is it's blue. It's like a blue. It's
It's
kind
a
of like
pretty
that one.
popular
Yeah.
design. Some of them have like the pillows
Yeah.
on them.
Is it a racing seat kind of thing?
That's what mine is.
Looks kind of like that.
I have a
Yeah.
GTR racing chair over there that's blue and black. So
That's what mine
It's
is.
super nice. I'm really excited for it, but
They're comfy.
yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
say the one thing I don't like about this match is Vern on commentary, obviously like on a phone or something, is just god awful on this match on commentary.
And it's
Ron
also
Ron Trongard's inoffensive, but I mean he's just Ron Trongard.
Stronger is one of my least favorite
No, he's mine
announcers,
too.
but
He was better than
I will
Vern.
agree with you. He's okay in this. He's
Yeah.
inoffensive.
So I kind of like this match. It's kind of brawly. Stan Hansen does some limb work. Some actually pretty nice limb work. The one thing I was watching this match, and I don't know how to say it, but it's like it's something that Stan Hansen's really good at versus everyone else. Is like Stan has like such a weight to everything he does. Like his blows have weight, like his moves, like everything he does has like a real weight to it.
So the thing, as I was watching this, one of my biggest takeaways was that yes, so Stan Hansen starts doing arm work, but it feels like it's Stan Hansen doing arm work because he's like, okay, I've got this wrist lock here now. It's here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna drop a big old knee right on it. Wham! And it's that sort of stuff through the whole way because yes, Stan beats up on Sgt Slaughter a bunch, and then he goes to that arm, which I thought was going to lead to a finish where the Cobra Clutch fails. Like Slaughter's trying to do the Cobra Clutch, but he can't keep it because his arm's all whatever.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Like that was the arm work for. It's like to
yeah.
I think
kind
that's
of
the
prevent the
general
Cobra
idea.
Clutch.
I think
Yeah.
the announcers could have really helped by discussing the match.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. In my head as I was watching this, I apparently just mentally tuned the announcers out completely.
Because I think
didn't pay any attention to
because
them.
I think like if I was announcing this, I'd be like, well, you know, Slaughter's, you know, Hansen's going for that arm probably because he wants to like weaken the Cobra Clutch, and I think that would have helped the match by being an announcer.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about this matchup though is, Slaughter's actually a really good base for Stan Hansen to work off of because he's a really big guy, but he's bumping big because he bumps big, and that makes Hansen look like even more of a monster.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Slaughter again. Is Slaughter is he's such a good bumper that he just
fantastic. Yeah.
flies for stuff.
And Shad had a bit of a problem. So like the end of this is Slaughter does an over the top rope bump, and then he gets the Cobra Clutch on the outside, doesn't break the hold, and the referee pretty much disqualifies him for not breaking the hold. And you know, they do the whole he won thing, and then the ring announcer fucks it up because he said Sgt Slaughter got counted out, which he clearly is not what happened. But
yeah,
I mean, I like the match, but also like it's almost disappointing to me because it's like this could have been more than it was. In my opinion.
I looked. There's matches. They had like several matches throughout the winter into the early spring, so I think this was to get you to come back.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes like this, like they had. It seemed like, you know, Sgt Slaughter won because he put the Cobra Clutch on, like, you know, and the bell rings. He thinks like, oh, like I won.
It's the concept of okay, this is gonna take. It's the concept of your face lost, but he saved face in the way because he got a visual win over the champion. The champion gets to keep the belt. In a territory, this would work because let's say Harley Race came through and he's your heel champion. You do this. So then you're like, oh, I'm excited because you get that visual of your hometown boy got one up on the champion, but oh, the ref screwed him. But oh, he
Yeah.
did beat him. So if they do a rematch, he obviously is going to win because he almost won this. So then
Yeah.
you probably come back and do like a gimmick match or something, and then that's it. The champion's gone for like 4 to 6 months, and you don't see him again. So like in the context of like that, it works really well because your boy gets one over on the champion, doesn't really lose. Champion doesn't really lose anything because no one's going to see it, and he's just going to go on to the next town, and then the champion's going to come back when that's a little duller in your memory, other than probably your boy got fucked. It doesn't work so well here because Hansen's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those kinds of finishes work in the setting you're talking about, but
Like the 60s
my
and 70s, it would work.
well, like territory style stuff,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you come in and no, you didn't win the big title, but you saw your guy. He had him. He would have had it if it hadn't been for those meddling kids or what the hell ever.
Yeah.
But my problem is that seeing this
Technicality.
in a televised national promotion smacks of. Whenever I first read about it, it was referred to as the Dusty finish because Dusty overused
Yes.
them
Yeah.
in national NWA stuff, and
But it wasn't unique to him because that's the whole conceit of the over the top rope rule is a dusty finish.
yeah, but that's just the name it's attached to in my head, and I have an immediate negative reaction to anything like that, where it's like, oh, and the winner is, oh, I'm sorry, never mind. It's like, no, 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 no. Don't bait and switch like that. It feels insulting. I hate that so much. Um, now something about this match I did really like, and for some reason I did not remember Slaughter doing it much, but this match kicks off, and of course it's Stan Hansen and Sgt Slaughter. They're going to brawl a bit. What does Sergeant Slaughter do straight away? He doesn't punch, he doesn't kick, he doesn't go for the head. He starts hammering his forearm across Hansen's chest. And part one makes sense because what's a Cobra Clutch do? It fades you out, so you're hammering air out of his lungs. But then number two, you can hit him super hard that way because you're hitting here across here, so you can just club on him as hard as you want to, and it looks great, but no one's going to get injured out of it. And it looked, Slaughter did a lot of that. And one of the things that I saw Hansen doing a lot in this match is Hansen used a back elbow a lot, but Hansen's not pointing the back elbow here. He's hitting him, right up here by the body. Great visual, but he's not murdering somebody.
I like
And so
that
it enhanced my enjoyment to be able to see them hammer on each other, but I know they're not injuring each other.
and I like that they were doing that and he still had his chaps on because they got into it like right away and he hadn't bothered to take all his stuff off yet. And he was doing the youth thing. He was yelling youth, which I always love.
That's what he.
I
I mean, that's
I like that both guys were kind of like roughly like evenly sized. Slaughter's underrated in like how big he is. He's a big guy.
I think because like people know him from WWE where his size isn't as noticeable and he was kind of older at the time, so it wasn't as like.
Yeah, and I mean, what's like his big feud like against Hogan? Like Hogan was big.
Yeah,
you know,
before
when he
Hogan,
was-
before Hogan like got off the roids and was like a more normal
Yeah.
size for the rest of his career. Yeah.
yeah.
And even then, like Hogan was still like a big guy in terms of like
Oh, he's always
real
big.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he was obviously like slimmer. But Slaughter was a big guy, and Hansen was a gigantic dude. Like people don't like really appreciate how big Hansen was. The two things I noticed, like again, we've seen matches he's done on the show. I still maintain like he's one of the 4 or 5 opponents that Ultimate Warrior ever had that actually pulled a good match out of Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, that match is underrated.
Yeah, because
he's
Slaughter
Slaughter's just
Slaughter did
Slaughter bumped big for him. That's why it worked.
Slaughter does two things like really, really great. I mean, his offense is good generally, but two things he does better than most people really give him credit for is he bumps really well, and this is like it's like I guess maybe it's 1A 1B, but like his selling is fantastic. Like his selling in this was like really, really good, and it's more than just like, oh, I can bump real well. It's like, I mean, Chad, you can appreciate this. It's like Hansen was working over the arms, so like even when Slaughter was doing the comeback and everything like that, he'd do stuff, whatever like that, and then like he'd do this, and it's like make sure like
You turn around.
I'm gonna do a big move like punch, whatever like that, and it's like I've done it. Hansen's like rocked, and Slaughter's like then it just like holds the R because it's like, yeah, that's believable. Because it's like if I like made the comeback with like my good hand, I'm giving a clothesline or a punch, whatever like that. I hit you with an elbow, something that I'm rocking you. It's like now I got to mow it myself. It's like you still worked over my arm for like 5 minutes. It's like it still hurt.
I think
like I'm gonna sell.
I think what's
that
unique.
His selling was fantastic in this. I thought.
Matt, what I was going to say is exactly what I want. It's exactly what I want to see people do in the ring. I understand. You got signature spots you want to do and people want to see you do them. But if, hit the thing and then turn around and go, God, because that cost me. And even, here's the thing, even if you worked the exact same match the entire time, but every time you did something like that, you turned around and you were just like, oh, God. And then went back and then still did something, but then you go back to selling it again. That's what I want, okay?
That's
if Will Ospreay gets his leg worked the whole time and he does a springboard thing and hits the move and then rolls over and grabs the leg before he goes for the pin and he just did that every time, the whole match after someone does that, I'd be so much happier. But yes, please just do this.
That's what
Sell this, please.
That's what I always liked about Rob Van Dam. Like, he wasn't known for selling, but I always liked that when he hit the frog splash, it looked like it hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Oh, you know what? It's ironic that you said that because I thought of that just now. Because it's like he would do that, and before he would go for the pin, he'd be like, like he'd hold his ribs, his abdomen. It's like, damn, that hurt doing that. But then he'd like pause to do that, and then like make the pin. And it's like, well, that's believable because like that looked like it should hurt. And you're like, oh man, damn, that hurt, but it hurt him worse. So I'm gonna like pin him, and then you would get the pinfall.
And I think Slaughter is particularly interesting as a worker because between face and heel, which we've seen matches of him in both, like he doesn't really change what he does that much because he doesn't need to. Because his good selling is a heel that really gets the face over, also works as getting the heel over and makes him sympathetic when he's the face. And his offense really doesn't need much other than he's a little more snake-like in how he does the Cobra Clutch when he's a heel.
Yeah,
that's fair. Like you're right. It probably it's more of like a subtle change. Like he probably does bump a little more as
in
a
his
heel,
mannerisms,
yeah.
Because he's the assignment is putting the face over. So
and I think he's not
a little more.
I think he's not appreciated as a promo either because when we did the final conflict stuff, like he still has one of my favorite lines from a promo all the time is when he's like, every time I drive by a graveyard, I think of Jay Youngblood after they like injured him. Like that's still a great line. And like Greg Valentine with the kids picture and he's putting the cigar out and like their faces are still, his promos are really good.
Look, I'd seen some Slaughter stuff like before, but when we started doing this show, we've obviously seen like a lot more Slaughter stuff. Just randomly throughout the course of the show, and I've really come to appreciate him. Like he was, I will say, like no qualifiers. He was a good worker, absolutely a good worker.
Well,
a very good worker.
This is way pre the show. It wasn't in our group chat. This was just a side conversation Chad and I once had because Chad had put some matches in there in like a Facebook group, and I'd watched them, and I said, like, hey, I really like your matches. Like you remind me a lot of Sgt Slaughter, and Chad was really like confused. And I was like, well, no, you bump a lot like him. And then we did something way later, and Chad's like, oh, I see why you said that.
Yeah.
I reminded you of Slaughter.
Yeah. It was, selling was, in my mind, selling was the most important part of my game because selling is what got people invested.
Hmm.
It to me, if I'm going to be a face, that means that people need to be unhappy when I get beat up, which means it needs to look like it hurts. If I'm the heel, then I need to look like it hurts a lot when the face is beating me up,
And there
Yeah,
needs to
because they're going
be
to be happy for that.
because that is what's going to suspend disbelief more than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
I
and
think there's a subtle, like with heel selling too, like it's not just selling, there needs to be that subtle hint of outrage to your oversell of like, oh my god, this hurts. How dare he do that to me? Like there needs
I
to be
always
that
took
hit
it.
in there.
The only match I think I still have a copy of, and God, it grinds my teeth to say that, but so many of them just got put on MySpace, so I didn't
Mm.
have copies of them. But was that as a heel, when you hit me, my body language needs to be bigger, right? Because the baby faces hits should hit more,
Yeah.
right? People, you want the hero that you're seeing here to be the guy that whenever he hits him, he hits harder and better and that sort of stuff. So if I'm the face and I get punched and I rock, here I'm like, oh god, he's hitting me, and I'm like wobbly and my. But if, as a heel, you hit me and I like throw my hands up. Why? Because it looks like you hit me so hard. This looks so much more like you hit me so much harder. Whereas the face, I'm like Rocky. You hit me and I'm not going down. I'm staying on my feet.
And you
That
should have a
was
certain there's a certain like bully mentality where it's also like you shouldn't be able to take a punch the same way as the face. It's also
yeah.
why I'll use a great example of something I think it should be a universal truth that gets lost a lot is like when you're going to tap to a submission hold, I feel like a face should fight in the submission hold for a while and the heel should just tap every time. A heel
I
shouldn't.
will argue with that for one reason. I think that a heel should be fighting to get out and panic. Like if it's locked in and the
Yeah.
match is done, like okay, just off the top of my head, I'm down and Matt grabs me and he puts the Scorpion Deathlock on me and he flips it over. Yeah, I know who I'm talking to. And he grabs it and he sits down in it. If he's the heel, then I'm going to be doing that, like put my hands down and try and push my way up. Or I'm going to be like, no, no. But if he's the face and he's locking it onto me and we're going for the finish, then I'm going to be like, no, 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 no. Get me out of this. Get me out of this. And I'm panicking and I'm reaching for stuff and I'm trying to grab the referee and I'm trying to push him off. I'm not giving up right away, but I know how much trouble I'm in.
So pretty much like the Flair sell job when he gets put in submissions and he survives. Like
Yeah.
if he gets put in
Yeah.
the Scorpion Deathlock where he's like doing like the head like nod and the
But see, actually, again, I was thinking of Flair.
Yeah.
Like we're on the same wavelength tonight because it's like I thought of like Rob Van Dam a minute ago. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking of Flair too.
I
'Cause
I was
Scorpion,
thinking
well,
of
obviously they had a Flair and Sting had a connection, but Flair at least had like the big, thick, like blonde
The hair,
mane.
yeah.
well, and
So when he put in the Scorpion Deathlock, he could do like shaking his head and like the big mane, it would just go everywhere.
well, and Flair also had
So
the
yeah, he could
Flair
like, no,
also
no,
had
no,
the
no.
yeah. Well, he'd also had like when you'd have him in that he'd be like no, and then you turn he'd be like oh god, like right as you sat down, like
Oh
he would add
God!
like yeah he would add the
One time I think it was like the sharpshooter Brad put him in or something. He's like, oh God, oh shit. I'm like, as a
Okay.
kid when I saw that, I'm like,
but like but again like it's funny how much of that stuff with Flair like you kind of just neglect because like Shad said it once is like you get numb to Flair because you're just like this is amazing, but Flair's always amazing. Like so you
Yeah.
kind of just
As a contemporary example for selling that I like you said, Slaughter, big guy, he would fly for people because it would look better. But someone selling a contemporary selling that I like is I like stuff MJF does because MJF freaks out when you start getting stuff on him. My favorite go-to example was when they had that Four Pillars match. I can't remember which show it was. And the thing that was notable was that it was the Four Pillars match, really. But they're hitting MJF with stuff, and he's going, "Oh God, oh shit!" And then here comes Darby behind him. Darby runs, grabs him, and he's flipping over to just do a standing diamond dust. He's got a hold of MJF, and MJF's going, "What the?" And it hits the move, and he flies back for it. Like, I love that he vocalizes so much in that selling that
Yeah.
it adds something to it that you
I
just
think
don't see as much.
Jericho's good at that too.
Yes, and it's something that I also like that Foley did is when you're beating up on Foley, he had a consistent chatter going. You know, he wasn't just quiet the whole time. The hell of it I see with some matches is there's some guys that you're hitting them, you're beating on them in the corner, and they're not saying a word, and you put a hold on them, and they go, But for example, you put someone on Foley, and he's going, nah,
That's what
you know.
That's what, especially if you sit close, like that's what I hate when they don't talk. Like there was one where I think it was Mike Bennett was in like with like they did like a sunset flip and he's fighting, and when he finally goes down, he's like, "Oh crap!" Like as they get him, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
That you because like someone's like, "Why do you like sitting close?" I'm like, "Because you can hear him say stuff." Like the ones that
Yeah.
are good, like and there's one where like Jay Lethal was cheating. The ref looked at him. He's like, "What? I didn't do anything."
That was something that, yeah, it's just one of my favorites was they're setting me up for a big move and me just spouting, no, 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 right before it happens.
Or you know who I think is still king of doing it is like when Ming would do it and he would just like spout gibberish the whole time he was just beating someone up.
Yeah. That sounds natural to me because out of a lot of classical martial arts backgrounds, what do they teach you? Depending on which style it is, Ki, whatever, but you're supposed to expel
Yeah.
when you're doing strikes for tightening muscles. Well, of course, I'm used to hearing sound whenever you do that. And of course, yeah, this is older, but you watch boxing, what do? They hiss or grunt everything they throw. Why? They're contracting those muscles.
Or watch an MMA fight. When they throw those knees, that's what you hear. They hear that hiss.
Yeah.
Is
Because they're exhaling on the exertion.
That was like I think when I did Taekwondo, that was like the first like stuff they did with you was like breathing stuff.
Yeah. You've got to do your kiops. Taekwondo, pretty sure Taekwondo was kiops. You've got to do that. You've got to. If you make a sound every time you throw some sort of strike, then what that's doing is training you in the breathing process. Yeah. And so I love hearing people sell and verbalize with it.
That's the one thing for martial arts I'm glad I took it for is like the breathing they teach you has helped me like so much like throughout life.
Yeah.
And then we do have a segment we're gonna do real quick. I just put it in there because it was funny from Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and they were gonna be doing. It was gonna be I think the Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl against Brian Lee and Tammy Sitch. So they were doing like training vignettes, and I have to say I'm not a big Brian Lee fan, but I thought he was really entertaining. Like is like kind of a dirtball in this.
I have a context question.
Yeah.
Was this before, or was Candido not around in this time period?
No, Candido was with them. Candido was like with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
he was in the training vignettes. Yeah.
I guess I'm watching it and I'm like, I thought it was Brian Lee every time.
He was driving the car.
So.
He was driving the car.
Yeah. Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and when Tammy was like doing like the exercise bike, they panned the camera down, and he's like
that was
moving
Lee.
The pedal. No, it was all Candido.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was really funny because again, it's the Cornette is such a fucking cornball, and that's being nice and being like he's really like a nasty person nowadays. But like when he was like hitting on, maybe I don't know if he wrote this or he left it up to them to do it, but it hit all the right notes because you had dirty white boy, dirty white girl, like taking it earnestly training and everything like that, and then it was like just the goofball shit with Tammy and Chris Candido and everything like that. But that's exactly what it like you need it to be. Like you need it to be like unserious, like just silly
Well, it fits
shit
her
where they're
character.
not taking the training. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's an over the top caricature, but it worked.
because
Like
she
that's
Yeah.
expects
exactly
someone
what they need to do.
because she's obviously like this spoiled rich girl, and she expects someone else to do it for her.
Yeah.
Hmm. Like
I
you see
had
her doing like sit ups, but it's really like leaning up to like
But see,
paint
this
my
is why
nail,
I think
back,
Smoky
paint
Mountain.
another nail.
This is why I think like stuff like this is why I think Smoky Mountain aged better than ECW, because it's super like hokey and like probably they'd call it quiche now, but like it works because it's kind of timeless. The hokiness makes it kind of timeless, where ECW is like so much of its time it doesn't age well.
yeah. I think you're right. The cornball stuff is amusing no matter what. It stays amusing. If I could level one criticism at this whole thing, Dirty White Girl needed to work on her punches, especially wearing boxing gloves. Because dear God, she's punching like this with her hands coming down with boxing gloves on. I'm like, just throw straight knuckles. Come on. But other than that, the cornball worked. You know, the training that she's doing with Dirty White Boy is, you know, they're doing actual drills and takeovers and holds and that sort of stuff. It's a great contrast between this person's working hard to get ready for this match, and this person is says they're going to do it, and they're being lazy, and it's hokey and it's silly, and then you get back from it, and what happens as soon as they run Tammy's first, and then they run the Dirty White Girls, and what happens immediately is Tammy's like, I don't know what I'm gonna
Well, and it's
do,
also
and
like,
it's just
Brian, you need to fix this for me.
perfect. Yeah, it's just yes. It doesn't matter that it's kind of lower quality film and very much 80s looking well, not 80s, early 90s looking clothes in front of wood paneling background. It still works.
It really is like she's really, I don't know, she never showed this much personality like as her career progressed, like in WWE or anything. It's interesting how much more they were kind of getting out of her in Smoky Mountain. I would say Cornette probably had a lot to do with this, because I think there's like an interview with like Lance Storm and Jericho where they were talking about their vignettes, and they hated them, and Jericho was like begging him like, please, like at least let us get hotter girls.
Yeah, that was that's in Jericho's book. Was the thrill seekers doing things like going to Pigeon Forge and riding go karts and horseback riding, and then his exact words were two skeezers, and I'm like, that's on one hand, dude, harsh, but then on the other hand, it conjures such an image.
I was telling you guys earlier, I need to see if I can find it, but they did this with the Tolans in OVW, where I think Tank Toland, it might have been the other one, they won the OVW title, and they're like walking around this mall with the belt, like bragging about how he's a champion. And they go in this McDonald's, and the one has like a boombox with their entrance music and like announces him as the champion. He just walks in this McDonald's, and they just did it so it's all these random people just looking at them like, what the hell is going on? Which just made it so much better.
Yeah. Um, I think Foley did that whenever he won the TNA title, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he went to like an amusement park, I think.
I know part of it was he was at an airport, but yeah, I think he was just kind of carrying it around and then just kind of goofing off for the camera. I think.
I think it helps the heel sometimes, like being like doing something funny like that can still get you over as a heel and make people dislike you.
Just make sure that you look like an idiot doing it.
Yeah.
Don't look too cool doing it, because you're not supposed to be cool. You're not supposed to be likable. You're not supposed to be cool. So do something that's goofy, over the top, cornball, makes you look like a fool or do something that's just downright despicable.
We need to do that. I might need to do it. Might need to do a show on like the Kevin Sullivan promos where he's doing like
Mm.
the shining bar scene for a
Yeah,
promo just because.
Buddha Dean.
Yeah.
This I again have to point out something that we've talked about many times over the course of the show, and including this year, is that heels need to understand, like, you have to show ass. Like, you have to show ass. And to go back to bring it back to Sgt Slaughter, like, he was great as a heel because he would show ass.
You know that's a great point because remember when we did the final conflict, we were like shocked that like he was the one that was doing like all the big bumps like when he was with Don Cornetto, and we were like, well, Don Cornetto's probably the one that's gonna like get the shit beat out of him, and a lot of times like, oh, well, Slaughter is the one getting the crap kicked out of him.
He did
Yeah.
that whenever he was healed, his entire career. Like, he would take, and that's a huge part of why the Ultimate Warrior match at Rumble '91 was so good, is because he just fucking bumped the hell out of himself for Warrior. And it's
Yeah.
like that you did half the work right there. Like,
Mhm.
half the work of making this like at least a watchable, and it wound up being, I feel, like a good match. Is it a 5-star match? No.
No, it's probably like 3 star
But it's
though.
yeah, but it's at least like a good match. Like 3, maybe. I feel like I even liked it more than 3. Maybe I would even given it like 3.5 or something like that. Like, it was entertaining match, and it's like, because he bumped the hell out of it. Like, he made Warrior look like $1 million, and it's like, he understood the assignment. Like, that's part, as a heel, even if you're like a top heel, like, go out there and you like sell your ass off for the face. You make it look like everything they're gonna do to you is like death. And I like, you know what? It's like almost an epiphany where it's like, yeah, like, you need to. There is an aspect to it where it's like, maybe you do as a heel. It's contextual, right? So sometimes you do. It's like you just like, get the shit beat out of you by the face. But sometimes, especially if you're like a top heel, if you're like an MJF or you've been the champ, whatever, like that, like, you bump the hell out of things for the face, but you do have that element of outrage where you're like shocked, like, I can't believe, like, I'm getting my ass kicked. And it's like, no, man, you're getting your ass kicked because that's, like, in this case, it's like, that's Kenny fucking Omega
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whomever. Like, that's Hangman Page, that's Will Ospreay, it's Darby Allin giving you like your comeuppance. It's like, you
Mhm.
have the outrage, like, but yeah, like, sometimes you got to get your ass beat and like you just take it, or sometimes it is that outrage where it's like, I can't believe it, but you still need to get that ass beat,
Yeah.
and make them look like $1 million because that's the assignment. Like,
That's
people,
what
a lot of people,
WWE
again,
really
they don't understand the assignment.
because
Yeah.
they think heat's
And
all that matters, and it's like, well, heat's no good if people give up.
Yeah,
the thing that really bugs me, and like, I don't watch it, but the thing that bugs me with clips that I do see of NXT stuff is they're doing stuff wrong and they don't know why it's wrong. So, it's like every pinfall, doesn't matter who it is, someone kicks out of a big move and they go,
Hmm.
it's like, okay, why are you doing that, right? Like, that does not fit at all in this
That's a
moment.
heel.
Why
That's
are
a
you doing
heel.
this?
That's a heel thing anyway, in my opinion.
Why are faces doing it then?
yeah.
Well, because NXT's run by idiots, and I also think the other problem is they running them in front of the same crowd all the time, so they have a clapping seal crowd that doesn't like.
One thing also that I found out that all of a sudden makes stuff make a lot of sense. Yeah, because it's like, why does everybody need to everybody want to end up being a trainer? Why do you want to? And then someone said something. I was like, oh, it makes so much sense, because as a trainer, even a player coach or whatever, you're not an independent contractor anymore. You're a full-time employee. You get benefits out of it and that sort of stuff, but you still get to do like some wrestling stuff. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I should take that back. You can do the two thing as a face, but you should be more just be like checking, be like that wasn't two. Whereas a heel should be the one arguing and being disagreeable.
be like, if they kick out of your two thing, you can be tired and be like, that didn't do it. Like, but don't be like, those two. Like, no,
I hate when
no.
you know what I hate
You've
when they
become a cartoon character.
well, I hate when they do that and it's like you have not ever pinned someone with that move. Why do you think it would work now?
Yeah. Like, as a heel, I go to pin someone and they kick out at two. I can be irritated about that. It was three. I hit him with that. It was supposed to be three, and they're like, it was two.
Or you can just put your like you can just like sit up and like put your kind of huff, put your arms on your hips and like do the two at the ref, like with a kind of a stern, like, come on, like you're slow
Yeah,
counting me there, buddy. Or even
yeah.
again going back to Ric Flair when the George South match started and he was chirping Teddy Long almost immediately. But I hate that too. I hate that, like, I am shocked, like, you've never pinned anyone with that. Why are you shocked?
Yeah. It's proper selling is so important that, to me, I don't care how athletic, I don't care how capable you are, anything like that. If you can't sell, I immediately start forming the opinion you can't work.
I think,
And
or you're green, because I think selling's kind of like one of the hardest parts of wrestling to get. That's when people like jerk off, like Meltzer especially. When he starts talking about these legit athletes, I'm like, yeah, but they have to learn how to sell, which is going to be like a completely foreign concept to them.
yeah,
But I've
yeah,
kind of, the more I've kind of like observed wrestling over the years, I kind of feel like wrestling is a lot like stand-up comedy, where not as long as stand-up comedy, but I kind of think unless you're like an outlier, you're probably going to suck the first 5 years you're wrestling, no matter what. Like you're just going to
yeah.
suck.
I was the last show I went and worked at. I was talking with J.R. Rock because we're hanging out for a minute, and what I did is I was making a self-deprecating joke. He said something about how good, he goes, that wasn't any good, wasn't it? I said, no, it was like one of my matches. And, I'm just trying to get him to laugh. And he's like, no, no, you were a perfectly good mid-card guy and you took it seriously and you worked at it. I said, and you know what the hell of it is? I was actually finally starting to put it together when I got hurt, which means if I'm sorry, this sounds like I'm trying to humble brag or what, but if I was a perfectly good mid card guy before I was starting to put it together, then hell, I might have had some potential. I just never got there. But the selling was always the most important thing to me. I've got to be able to sell properly for this to work. So that, yeah.
Do we have anything else for the week? I don't think
I
so.
mean, Kenny Omega being the champ's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that made me happy. I'm glad they did that. They got a pretty good number for that match too, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. That jumped really good.
And I'm seeing people in the last week saying like, well, Kenny shouldn't drop the belt to Ospreay at All In, and it's like, I love Kenny Omega. I want him to have another reign with the title. Not That's a long reign, like,
Yeah, I just
but
don't think that's not
I don't know that that's happening. This may be like your second Kenny
if
Omega reign, like, and maybe that, because I'm of the opinion like you need to crown Ospreay. You need
yeah.
to.
Yeah,
And the thing is,
It's
if you
it's
try to
time.
go like 6 months to a year with Omega, I would say probability is he gets hurt somewhere in there, and then you have to vacate the title, and then you get nothing out of the reign versus him putting
If
Osprey over.
if this was not if this was not in England, if this was at a random, like if it's a different pay-per-view, that it's like, okay, well, you're actually going to give like a 6-month reign to Kenny, and you're going to build towards like
And they're trying to
Kenny
save the
Osprey.
they're trying
Yeah,
to save the attendance for that show too, which I think this will spark some seats and maybe get them to
it's
40 or
I think
50.
it's yeah, I think it's right now it's at like 30. But I could see it. I could see it by the time
Which
the show be
we
like
could
40, 50,
which
at least
like
40 maybe.
that's the one thing I think someone might watch and be like, "Oh, these are just AEW stands." Like, no, I'm super critical of it, but like I think just to even things out a little bit. No, we're not, and I think the three of us would agree that running Wembley again was probably a dumb move for them.
Oh
I
no,
don't
I
think they're
when he
going
ran
to
it
do it again after this year.
when
No,
he
but they should.
ran it a second time, I was like, I think you should like running it a third time. It's like
Yeah,
no. I I'm open to the idea that he should try and tour it where maybe next year, like maybe you consider running it in like Mexico somewhere or even Australia. Like other countries. Like I've
do a
seen
dome
some
show.
Spanish I've seen some Spanish fans. I mean Spanish I mean like from España, like be like bring it to Spain.
Mm.
It's like, maybe.
I try a dome show
Like, yeah.
because you could put Okada at the top. Like do Osprey Okada as like your main event for the Tokyo Dome. I bet that would do pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that's what, like I said, uh, we've talked about it here and there, but like we're not an AEW show. Like I don't want to be an AEW show. We just call it like we see it. We're much more critical of WWE because we don't like it, but like things like that, like we're not gonna spin for anyone. So like stuff like that, it's like, yeah, that was dumb.
I will fully say I prefer AEW, but they don't get everything right.
No, and no one does. That's the other
So
thing I hate about modern fans is like when they're like, "Oh my god, there was this one thing on a wrestling show that didn't appeal to me. That show absolutely sucked." I was like, "Okay."
Mhm.
Like that really bugs me now. But yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
I just wanted to I thought running Wembley again was really dumb, and some people are kind of defending. I'm like, no, it was. You
I
have
sus-
you're struggling to put 30,000 right now in a stadium. You've put 80,000 in. Like it's a bad look.
I suspect that the reason that they're doing it in Wembley is because this is the Osprey coronation event. And if they ran it in Great Britain and it wasn't in Wembley, then that would be a whole big thing by itself. From what I have heard, apparently Osprey in his first year was like, "Don't put the title on me. Don't do that." Which was smart, right? Because if he just comes in and wins the belt, then
There's nothing to do with them after that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which also cracks me the hell up because what happened the first year Osprey was in AEW is Meltzer was bitching that he didn't have the belt.
Yeah.
It's like, Dave, shut
Well, at the
up.
time though, at the time it was kind of understandable because like Okada and Monet especially came in and they really lost a lot of their buzz for how it was booked. Now I think they rehabbed Monet really well the next year.
Yeah.
And like Okada, like somehow Okada they finally kind of got him back on track after like a really long time of like just kind of feeling like he wasn't doing well. Because I would
Yeah,
there
he's
up until this year maybe I would have said he was a bad signing or he hasn't like panned out well for them and this year he's kind of been like, "Oh, he's actually kind of like Okada again."
I don't know how to put a finger on it, but I think he's doing well. So
But I think that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us as always. This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in 3 quarters and you've been in the fourth. And we will catch you next time.